I hereby call the meeting to order at 5:32 for the Public Housing Authority. Madam City Clerk, roll call, please.
Thank you, Chair Member. Director Mahar,
Here.
Director Bach,
Here.
Director Trimble,
Here.
Director Roa,
Here.
Director Rodriguez,
Here.
Vice Chair Member Alvarado,
Here.
Chair Member Maravilla.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Thank you. So at this time, we'll move forward with public comment. This is a time, general public comment. This is a time on the agenda to speak on any item for Public Housing Authority not on the agenda. Do we have any general public comment at this time? Seeing none, we'll move forward with agenda organization. At this time, we have no public hearings and we have a consent calendar. Would anyone like to pull an item off of the consent calendar? Seeing none, do we have any public comment on the consent calendar? And that's on items B1, 2, and 3 for Public Housing Authority. Seeing no public comment, can I get a motion to approve the consent calendar? All those in favor say aye.
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 Motion carries. Discussion item C1, PHA resolution number 2019-015, adopt the Public Housing Authority's 2-year budget for fiscal year 2019, 2020, and 2020-2021. Do we have a staff report?
Hello. On the budget for the Public Housing Authority, one of them is the Section 8 housing program, and the amount we get is what is allocated from the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. They also allocate a certain amount for administrative costs, which includes the salaries, the benefits, and any office supplies, those kinds of things. However, what they allow for that doesn't cover the cost to actually run the program. So each year there's some general fund subsidy that's required. And this year also we're going to be doing a subsidy from the low mod housing fund. In that fund, we have been receiving a repayment of an ERAF loan from the RDA low mod program that was done while the successor agency was in effect. And that money is now being repaid to us, and we're using it in accordance with government code for assistance for homelessness prevention, home rehabilitations, and other incentives. Adoption of this resolution will authorize the use of the program funds as outlined in the budget, including the amounts of $48,388 in 1920 and $55,178 in 2021 from Fund 29 to subsidize administrative expenses for the Section 8 housing.
At this time, do we have any public comment on item C1? This is the PHA resolution for the 2-year budget. Okay, seeing none, do we have any discussion on this item? Well, I just want to take the time to thank the staff for doing a wonderful job on the beautification guidelines. I'm really pleased that, well, actually, I'm sorry, I'm looking at C2. I mean, I have other notes. I have no notes for C1. Sorry. Do we have any comments? Can I get a motion to approve? Can I get a second?
I second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Now, item C2, this is PHA resolution number 2019-016, adopt the amended beautification program guidelines for the housing rehabilitation program. Do we have a staff report?
Yes, Honorable Chairperson and members of the Executive Board, before you are the program guidelines for the beautification program. As you know, these are the program guidelines that we utilize to award grants for the rehabbing of people's homes here in the city that will do either landscaping, fencing, roofing, windows, et cetera, basically to beautify your home. These guidelines have been around for quite some time, and it was time to update them. And we pretty much started with the camera bar removal program. So these guidelines are identical to the camera bar removal program, but they reflect, though, the program for the housing rehabilitation program. Two of the main changes to the guidelines that have been discussed with the committee is basically the grant amount for the mobile home is being recommended to be increased from 7,000 to 10,000, and for the condominium to be reduced from 15,000 to 10,000. The other item that was recommended to be changed, and this happened at the March 26, 2019 Public Housing Authority, is that direction was given to increase the covenant from 3 years to 5 years, and that is that you're not allowed to sell the property until that 5 year has exhausted, unless you repay that loan back or that grant back. Those are the main two things that changed in the program guidelines. Other than that, everything was pretty much just to create a whole new look to the guidelines, and they pretty much read the same way as before. So we've been working with the CIP committee and council on this, and so this is the result of the exchange that has been occurring with the committee members.
Okay, thank you. Do we have any public comment for this item?
Jan LaPointe, 12020, 226th Street. Reducing the monies available for condos is not appropriate, especially if you're increasing the monies for the senior mobile home park. Mobile homes depreciate, condominium properties appreciate. So there's a point where with mobile homes, wherever you live, like a vehicle, if you spend too much money repairing it, you're throwing good money after bad. It's different with a condominium. I really think you guys should look at that. It's not appropriate to reduce the condominium one. It's not appropriate to increase the mobile homes if you're going to decrease the condominiums. Thank you.
Any other public comment on this item? Okay, seeing none, public comment is now closed. Do we have any comments on the beautification guidelines?
I'd have to agree with Jan LaPointe because mobile homes, and I live in one, a brand new one, it's going to outlive me, but I'm already 63. But in 40 years, it will be tossed out, 30 years. And the $7,000 grant is enough to fix anything majorly wrong with the motorhome. So, and like she says, condos, they appreciate. So I'd like to keep it as is.
Well, I'll just make a quick comment on from the CIP perspective. When we had this discussion, we talked about reducing 15 to 10 and increasing from 7 to 10 because we talked to staff, and I know that for for mobile homes, it was very difficult for people to reapply because as soon as one thing was wrong, then maybe a year later they had to fix the roofing or something. And so the $7,000 weren't really cutting it.
Yeah.
And we didn't feel that it was necessarily appropriate to raise it from 7 to 15 because that would almost more than double. So we felt that $10,000 would be a good cushion so that our residents wouldn't have to wait such a long time, because as soon as one repair is done, then there is a need to do another repair. So it's more of along the lines of bringing equity to all of our applicants. And also, this is not to say that residents, both from the condo complex and from the mobile home units, can always get the emergency grant. But it's still crucial for us, at least for me, to make sure that our seniors, because a lot of them are on SSI or disability or Social Security, that they have the ability to get their needs met and not have to wait 5 years until the next phase of money comes through. So in terms of the condos, I know that in the past, condos were excluded completely because the beautification program was specifically tailored to exterior of homes. And there was an argument that condos wouldn't qualify. So I know that $10,000, we talked to staff, and they felt that $10,000 would be sufficient to fix a project within a condominium. And so because of that, we just felt that if we make them both $10,000, we'll be doing a net savings of $2,000 between both. So we'll be saving $5,000 with condos and then adding the $3,000 for mobile homes, so that's a net savings of $2,000. So for every 5 projects, you can add one more. So we just want to make sure that more people are serviced. And then I know that we've made almost $2 million in budget cuts, and we'll be needing to make a lot more in the future because of some news that we received. So we just want to be prudent with the finances of the city. But I don't know if anyone else has comments.
Yes, I'd like to keep the mobile home to also get a $10,000. Yeah, I agree that condos appreciate more, and that's great for you. Those people that own condos and get $15,000 from the program, well, good for you, because now you have a condo that appreciate more, is worth more money. But the fact is, people have what they can afford. They can only afford a mobile home, but that's all they can afford. To them, worth $1 million. That's all they have. So I know that mobile homes deteriorate more quickly because the material is thinner and smaller. So I agree that mobile homes need more constant repairs and more money. If you hire a company to do some of these repairs, we know they're not cheap. So it's only fair to help them and maintain the mobile home their mobile home, because that's all they have. You can't discriminate them because, well, yours is going to be tossed, 20 years from now. No, you can't look at it like that. It's their home. It's valuable. It's important to them. That's all they have. So I think we need to be considerate and give them the $10,000 that they deserve.
Any other comments? Can I get a motion to approve?
I make a motion to approve the 10,000 on both.
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 So for clarification, we're approving the new beautification guidelines.
Yes.
Yes, thank you. And thank you to staff. I know that we went back and forth many, many times. And I know that you guys were really patient with the CIP committee and with me in general. So I appreciate your patience, and thank you for making all the changes and making this possible for our residents. I appreciate you. So for new business, do we have any new business? Seeing none, we don't have closed session. Do we have any oral staff reports? Oral authority reports? Okay, so we will adjourn to the next regular Public Housing Authority meeting to be held on Tuesday, August the...
July.
Well, yeah, it's wrong. July the 9th at 5:30 p.m. Oh, the last. I apologize. Yes, it would be July 23rd at 5:30 p.m. I hereby call the meeting of Successor Agency to the RDA at 5:49 p.m. Madam City Clerk, roll call, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Director Trimble,
Here.
Director Roa,
Here.
Director Rodriguez,
Here.
Vice Chair Member Alvarado,
Here.
Chair Member Maravilla.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Thank you very much. So at this time, we'll open up general public comment, and this is specifically for the successor agency to the RDA meeting. Do we have any general public comment for items that are not on the agenda? Seeing none, we'll move over to, we have no public hearings, and we have one item on the consent calendar. Do we have any public comment on the consent calendar? Seeing none, can I get a motion to approve?
I motion to approve the consent calendar.
I'll second it.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. We have no discussion items, no new business, no closed session. Do we have any oral staff reports? Seeing none. Any oral agency reports? We will now adjourn to the next regular successor agency to the RDA meeting to be held on Tuesday, July 23rd, 9th at 5:45 p.m. I hereby call the meeting of the regular city council meeting at 6 o'clock. Madam City Clerk, could you lead us in the invocation and the flag salute, please?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Please bow your heads. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for all the gifts and blessings that you bestow upon each and every one of us, our family and our friends. We ask you to please guide this council today as they make difficult decisions. We ask you to please continue to fill this room with your calm spirit. Through your heavenly name we pray. Amen. Please put your right hand over your heart. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. So at this time, I know we have a lot of items on the agenda. Well, roll call, please, Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Councilmember Trimble?
Here.
Councilmember Roa?
Here.
Councilmember Rodriguez?
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Alvarado?
Here.
Mayor Maravilla?
Here.
You have a quorum, madam.
Thank you. So at this time, we do not have any proclamations and certificates, and we do have some presentations. The first one is from our Hawaiian Gardens librarian, Carolyn Reed.
Thank you very much, Madam Mayor, esteemed City Council, city staff, and assembled public. Hello, hi, how is everybody? It's a great day, and tomorrow's going to be even more fun because we're going to celebrate the fact that the library was named Library of the Year. So we're having an open house sort of thing from 4 to 6 o'clock tomorrow, Wednesday, June 22nd. We'll be serving little bites and little drinks, and we want you to come and see the library and let us know what it means to you. So I hope you can come join us in celebrating the LA County Library being Library of the Year. And then back to our regularly scheduled program. Tomorrow we also have a kids program from 4:30 to 5:30. We're going to be building bridges with Kiva blanks, and you think that sounds easy? Wait till we limit the number of pieces you get to have to build your bridge. It's going to be a challenge, but it's going to be a fun learning STEAM challenge, so we hope you're up for it. That's for ages 4 and up and their families. Hope to see you there. For teens, we have Shrinky Dink pins, and that's Friday, June 28th. I hope you can all join us. I get to learn how to use a heat gun. I think it's going to be great fun, and I hope you're up for it too. For adults, on Saturday, June 29th, from 2 to 3:30, we're going to make star boxes in honor of the Walk of Fame. Since it's showtime at your library, we're going to also make some showtime with our boxes. So I hope you can join us between 2 and 3:30 on Saturday, June 29th. No experience or artistic flair needed. Just come and create. Then also I wanted you to know that we're going to go, we will be closed Thursday, July 4th. There will be no LA County Library that is open, and we're sorry for that, but we will have all of our other things going on all of the other days, including the beginning of our Smarty Pants story time on Friday, and that is July 5th, and it's at 10:30 in the morning, and this is for ages 2 through 4 with an adult caregiver. We're going to get some of those school skills down. We're going to sing, we're going to read books, we're going to do rhymes and movement, and we're going to have a lot of fun. So I hope you can join us for that. We have a really special event coming up, and I hope that everyone in the community can come out. On Tuesday, July 16th, from 6 to 7, author Luis Reyes is going to share his book, Made in Mexico, with us, and he's going to tell us about film history and a little bit about how the south of the border and the north of the border affected each other in filmmaking. He's got a lot of knowledge. He worked in the industry the entire time of his life, pretty much, and he has lots of great stories and slides and film clips. So I hope you can join us. That's Tuesday, July 16th, from 6 to 7 p.m. So see me at the library, and take care until. Have a very safe and happy 4th of July.
Thank you very much. At this time, we'll have some City of Hawaiian Gardens video presentation of city events.
Hi, my name is Ileana. I'm with the City of Hawaiian Gardens. I am with the Recreation Department. We are here today with the Daddy and Me event where we are celebrating our fathers. We want to make sure that they know how important they are in our lives and the great bond that we have with them. And we want to make sure that they have lasting memories.
My name is Jesse Alvarado, Mayor Pro Tem. I'm actually here celebrating Father's Day with the program Daddy and Me. I'm here with my son JJ, having a great time, playing a lot of games. And I appreciate the city putting this event together to allow the fathers spending quality time with the kids and celebrate Father's Day.
My name is JJ. My dad is a mayor, and my dad always play with me, work with me, and help me.
Do you love him?
Yeah, because he's the best dad ever, and he's so smart and he always helped me with math, my homework, and everything.
My name is Daniel Jimenez, and this is also my son, Daniel Jimenez. I just did a competition for eating watermelons, and I won. Starbucks gift card.
My name is Julian Diaz, and I'm with my dad, and I'm painting a picture for him. My dad is kindful, nice, and lovable. I love him. That's why today he is here with me.
Es muy bonito, muy creativo, porque viene uno a celebrar con los niños y pues pasarla un rato con ellos. Y es muy bonito de su parte, del City Hall, que hagan estos eventos para que uno esté siempre conviviendo con los hijos.
My name is Marianne, and my dad's name is Richard, and I'm here with my dad to play some games.
This is a good thing, hanging out with my daughter, and everybody here having a good time.
Hi, my name is April Boyas, and my dad's name is Amado Boyas. My dad can't cook, and he's also not ticklish, which is very hard, considering the fact that he tickles us a lot, and we try to find a way to retaliate back at him.
My name's Frankie Corrales, and I'm right here at the City Hall, and we came to the Father's Day event. It's pretty nice. It's our first year out, and we're having a good time. We had a water balloon contest. Me and my son won. But other than that, we're all having a good time, as you can see. So, yeah, good job to the city for getting this together.
Today's a very special day. As you know, we have the best of the best here with us. I want to first congratulate all of the participants for being chosen for this very special honor that the City of Hawaiian Gardens is very happy to participate and have you on our Carson Street forever.
My name is Ernie Nishi, and I'm the president for the ABC School Board. And this is one of those situations where the city truly has its heart and puts its money where its mouth is. I mean, having the support for our kids, not every city does that.
Hello, my name is Jesse Alvarado, Mayor Pro Tem. It's actually a privilege and honor for me to be here today. We actually honoring the 3 students that just we able to help them with grants for school. It's really important for us to support our students to be able to continue their education, because like we always say, our youth it's our future. So we want to make sure that the students continue their education, and at the same time it's an honor to have their names on a plaque right by the sidewalk.
My name is Marco, and I'm really honored to achieve this goal. It was probably a dream come true, because last year my friend had told me about him winning it, so I was like, oh, I want to do that too. So now achieving it is like, oh damn, I can do anything.
Me siento muy orgullosa de mi hijo porque ha sido muy especial en lograr todas sus metas que él se ha propuesto, y gracias por haberlo apoyado también en Hawaiian Gardens.
My name is Noelia Munoz. I just graduated from Gar High School, and I'm really happy I got to win the money. I feel like I'm going to use the money to further my education, and I'm going to Cerritos College and hopefully transferring to UCLA.
My name is Arturo Munoz. My wife, Luz, we're so proud of our daughter. It was amazing. You got the city is helping all the kids, and we have no words. It's just amazing what they do for the kids.
Hi, my name is Christian Barragan, and I'm from Artesia High School, just graduated 2 days ago. And we're 5 children at home, so I guess being their role model for this position is something really great to do.
Thank you for coming to our annual rugby banquet. This is our 14th year, and so I want to thank you all for coming. First, I would like to acknowledge all the parents, relatives, everyone. Let's hear it for them. Thank you.
So on behalf of Hawaiian Gardens, I'm really excited to be here, and I want to thank you all for inviting the City Council to participate in this great event. Again, congratulations on all of your great achievements, and I look forward to supporting rugby in the future. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Jesse Alvarado, Mayor Pro Tem. It's definitely a pleasure for me to be here. And it's really exciting to see all of you celebrating a year of accomplishment. I saw all the plaques and trophies you're about to get. It's really awesome to see, that hard work pays off.
Life takes a knockdown spirit. Accomplishing our goals takes a knockdown spirit. Accomplishing our high school diploma takes a knockdown spirit. Another word for that is determination. It's grit. It's the ability not to give up, not to throw in the towel. You guys have demonstrated this season not to give up. You went back on the field and you went further and you picked up the ball again and you continue to go. And I just want to encourage you, as you pursue your dreams in life, take that same type of tenacity, take that same type of spirit into life and apply it to your dreams and apply it to your college education.
Well, when it comes to Hawaiian Gardens in the city and this program, it turns very serious for me because I have a lot of pride in this program and in this city, and played with some good people, and I played with some under some good coaches, and I know for a fact you guys are at that level. You just have to believe in yourself and you have to keep pushing, and if you guys keep doing that, I promise you guys will go pretty far.
All right, I wrote some things down for you. I use 3 principles in my life for success, and I learned that from my coach. Be where you're supposed to be. Your teenagers, be at home. Don't be running around crazy. Stay in school. Do what you're supposed to do. Be where you're supposed to be on time, and do your best. You're only young once. Don't waste your time. Make it count.
Thank you, Bashir. Those were some wonderful videos, and I really appreciate all of the staff that makes our event so special. Moving on with the agenda, before we open up general public comment, I just want to remind everyone that this is a business meeting and everyone will be limited to 3 minutes. Also, please remember to be respectful. We don't allow any attacks on the city council or on each other. Again, this is a business meeting and we conduct this meeting in a very professional. If we have ongoing disruptions, we will ask everyone to step out into the lobby, watch the council meeting from the lobby, and only be allowed in during public comment. So it's really important to us that we permit you.
Sir, if you can't control yourself, we're going to ask you to leave.
Deputy, if you could please stand on this side. We're already having issues. I appreciate it. Thank you. Again, this is a public meeting. We will not allow the public to flip off the city council or curse or do any profanity here at the city council chambers. If the public cannot conduct themselves appropriately, everyone will be asked to please watch and observe the meeting from the TVs in the lobby and only be allowed in to speak for public comment. We don't want to do that. We want to make sure everyone is allowed the opportunity to be here while we're discussing the items and the business of the city. That includes applauding, that includes yelling, that includes screaming. Again, it really throws us off when we're trying to have a thorough discussion about the items that are pertinent to the city. So please consider that, and we do have a deputy here, so if anybody does need to be removed, they will be removed. So moving forward, we now have general public comment. Please, if we have anybody that wants to speak on an item that is not on the agenda, you have 3 minutes.
Reynaldo Rodriguez, 1402 Juan Avenue.
On the last meeting, there was a resolution number 054-2019 posted on the consent calendar, item B3. It was for the appointment of Carlos Ramos as an interim public safety manager at the salary of $50,000. The contract also stated that he was to receive back pay from April the 22nd, 19. So he was already working before council approval. The city manager tabled this resolution so there would be no discussion. Well, this week's agenda, if you look at the city's expense warranty, you will see that Carlos Ramos got paid $13,520. That's so. How did this happen? Was it a secret meeting to approve this consultant? What's happening here is that Mayor Maravilla and certain high office staff members are hiring and increasing salaries to all their friends to get their support, and leaving the rest of the rank and file neglected and in fear of being fired if they say anything against you. This government is also saying that this year there's a budget, and this year's budget we are going to have a $2 million deficit. Well, when the last 9 years we always were within budget. We even managed to save $1 million a year for our regular fund. This council is supposed to attend seminars. Well, I can see why we're having a deficit. With council traveling to Miami, Florida, Catalina Island, twice to Cuerámaro, and contract cities, at Indian Wells next to Palm Springs, taking their friends with them. This council is supposed to attend seminars instead of they were in the swimming pool with friends. City manager, code supervisor, code enforcement, HR supervisor, one commissioner. At whose expense was this? Is this at the city's expense? Your plan this year was to also cancel Memorial Day. That didn't go very well. The powwow, which is up for your decision, and to have our city's annual parade, every 5 years. So I say I'm running out of time. So what I'm going to say now is this is nothing but pure power
Time's up. Thank
and
you.
greed on
Time's
your
up.
behalf.
We need to respect the 3 minutes.
Power and greed.
Thank you. You guys, hey, I was very specific. No applauding. We have a lot of business to conduct, and we need to give everyone the proper respect to speak at the podium.
Okay, buenas tardes. Quisiera que alguien me pueda traducir todo esto en inglés para poder decir. Me llamo Jesús Mendoza. Mi domicilio es 22022 Saint Avenue en la ciudad de Hawaiian Gardens. Buenas tardes, noches, alcaldesa Maravilla y miembros del consejo. Por la razón que estoy aquí, les quiero mencionar algo que el señor de Robert G. Canada, que fue uno de los alcaldes. Digo que fue uno de los mejores alcaldes que hemos tenido hasta ahorita. Él era un veterano de la guerra de Vietnam, una persona de palabra, honesta, leal, tenía muchos principios. En su tiempo como alcalde nos presentó una ceremonia muy tradicional de nativos norteamericanos. Robert Canada nos hizo prometer cuando él estaba falleciendo a varios de nosotros que no dejáramos que pararan esa tradición. Este sería el 20 aniversario de esta ceremonia que conocemos como powwow. Robert Canada peleó para que este casino se lograra como varios de residentes que están ahora. Lo que se prometió no se ha llegado a cabo. Por ejemplo, a muchos residentes le dijeron que les iban a pagar lo de la basura y hasta ahorita nunca se ha hecho con el dinero que se ingresa del casino. A lo mejor ustedes no saben de lo que estoy hablando, pero la comunidad sí. Ellos están fijándose en lo que ustedes hacen y obviamente sus intenciones. El que nada debe, como dice el refrán, nada teme. Dicen que necesitamos hacer cortos en las presupuestas que hacen de 2 a 3 años, pero a la misma vez estamos gastando en cosas sin necesidad, contratando gente fuera de la Unión y muy costosa. Termino con decirles nomás que pongan, por favor, que decidan en mantener la ceremonia del powwow, honorando a una de las mejores personas que hemos conocido, no nomás como alcalde, sino como persona. Y esta tradición espiritual, por si nunca han ido, para que vayan y la miren y después decidan, porque no es muy costosa lo que es. Y con terminar, les voy a decir, tanto que apoyó a la Unión, muchos de ustedes que han trabajado, tanto Hank, Luis y Mayra, todos los trabajadores que trabajan aquí parte tiempo, le tienen que agradecer a este señor porque él fue el que nos dio los beneficios como part-timers. Gracias.
His name is Jesus Mendoza. He is a resident here of City of Hawaiian Gardens, and he said good. Can you hear me now? His name is Jesus Mendoza. He is a resident here of the City of Hawaiian Gardens, and he came tonight for a specific reason, and that was regarding the Robert Canada, who was a former mayor, and in his opinion, the best mayor so far. He was also a veteran of the Vietnam War. He was an honest, loyal man with many principles, and he helped bring and present the ceremonies that are presented by the powwow and the Native Americans. When Mr. Canada was ready to pass, he promised Mr. Mendoza, along with some others that were present, to not allow that this tradition of the powwow to be discontinued and stop. Soon the powwow is coming up on the 20th anniversary, which is now known as the powwow. Mr. Canada was very active and participated during the casino measure, and many of the promises that were made at that time have still not been completed. For example, the promise of the casino was also to pay for the trash of residents. That was not done, and that was going to be done with casino revenue. He said that some of you may not remember or know, but that those who do remember are very vigilant and know what everyone's intent is. And then there was a statement that he made that I'm not sure how to translate, but basically, if you don't, I can't translate. El que no debe nada teme. He also made references to that he understands that there will be various budget cuts, but in his opinion, some of them are not necessary, as there are various expenses. There are members that are being hired outside of the union and are costly. He encouraged everyone to, and the council to, please attend the powwow and see it and experience for yourselves before deciding, and that it be continued, the powwow be continued, so that they can continue to honor the best mayor in his opinion, and that it is a spiritual ceremony, and for all of you to see and then decide. It's not that costly. He also mentioned that he was very supportive of the union, especially the part-time employees, and he assisted in giving part-time employees many of the benefits they currently have.
Thank you. And I just want to remind everyone, this is general public comment. So you can speak on the budget now, but the budget will be brought up later on in the agenda. So we would prefer to hear from you before we make a decision on the budget. So it's fresh on our minds, whatever comments you have to make. But you're free to make any comments. But again, this is for items that are not on the agenda. And then when we get to the item, we'll request a public comment for that item.
Good evening. My name is Anna Rodriguez. I live on 221st Street. I actually have a concern in regards to my property and also the school's property. Baseball season, softball season is coming up. I'm noticing a lot of games that are, being played at Ferguson, which is perfectly fine. I enjoy it. My issue is right next to my fence, there's a grassy knoll area where a lot of traveling teams play, and sometimes they end up hitting the ball over my fence. It's damaged 2 of my cars. 1 glass was broken, which it's fixable, not that much. But my biggest concern is my window, my living room window. It's very big and very expensive. I want to know what's going to happen. Are you guys going to let this traveling team, the traveling teams know, to please, do so, not to hit the balls. If they do, to be considerate. I had one parent, his kid hit the ball over the fence, hit my car, did make a dent in my car, and didn't even come over to apologize, anything. I picked up the ball, went over there, and the parent was just like, oh, sorry. Okay, yeah, I'm sure you're sorry, but what's going to happen when my window gets broken? Who's going to end up paying for it? Is it the city? Is it the school district? Who is going to be responsible for it? Considering that this is a city program, I'd like to know, and I'd like some kind of precaution taken. I'm not asking for a new fence. I'm just asking for, these baseball teams, when they practice in that grassy knoll area, to take some consideration, and realizing that there is a house right next to it. My next comment is and I know you said we're going to talk about the budget, but everything that you guys are planning to eliminate, please take into consideration how it's going to affect us. I know the powwow is also on the chopping block, which I wish you guys would keep it. Our statement for the city is our youth, our future. I believe this is a program or an event that does benefit our youth. Why? Because this is something that, they learn about who we are, where they come from, not just as, if they're from, whatefer nation, whatever country, they're here, they're Hawaiian Gardens residents. Whatever we find here, I know Fetty had, we found some items, from, the Indians. I'm sorry, I don't remember which ones, but, that's part of our heritage. So you guys really need to take into consideration how it's going to affect our youth. I love all the programs that you guys have here, but, we need our youth to learn more, not just about, education, but who they are and where they come from. In regards to the other budgets, I will keep those comments then. So thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any other general comment?
Hi, Jan LaPointe, 120 2226th Street. Just some general comments. At the last meeting, it was brought to my attention that one of the city council members allegedly kicked the kids in a youth soccer league off the field for either one of their practice games or for a real game, and took it over for his own party. That's not what I expect from my city council. That's beneath your dignity. That's my opinion. As far as some decisions made regarding helping with maintain the mobile homes with funds, I'm all for that. I do want you to consider that since mobile homes do depreciate and deteriorate, I have a friend who 1 year ago lost her sister because of a fire, because the wiring, everything is a little less than in a mobile home. She didn't succumb to fire, she succumbed to smoke from the materials inside the building, as did her 3 dogs. She got as far as the front door and never got out. So to make a mobile home appear safe and not make sure that the other issues within the home, the plumbing, the electricity, are safe when it's just the roof or the water heater. Please don't give our seniors a false sense of security. I went to the meeting at Lakewood. There, it's not a neighborhood watch, it's a town hall meeting with the sheriff in attendance. And it was mentioned, it was brought up that Hawaiian Gardens was considering a 5-story homeless shelter. And the representative from the sheriff's department said, no, Hawaiian Gardens is building more low-income housing on that property. I would like the city council to check and find out what percentage of housing in Hawaiian Gardens is Section 8 or low-income housing as a part of the whole city, compared to our neighboring cities, Bellflower, Cerritos, Lakewood. Let's see, perhaps maybe these low-income housing should be built in other areas. Hawaiian Gardens is a small city with a big heart. We cannot support everybody, though. We need to be able to have housing and have people that we can help and that we can support, people that already live here that fall on hard times that need to be lifted up. And you can use a $250,000 for a dog park that's only going to serve a portion of the population. We can use that for a lot of other things. That's inappropriate as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any other general public comments?
Joe Cabrera Zermeño, 21920, 21926 Sane, here in Hawaiian Gardens. I'm a legal registered voter, and I'm here to speak on for the body politic. The body politic are the people of a state or society considered collectively as individuals and the people that are involved in their community. And let me remind you, Maravilla, individual dissent is part of our American democracy and was considered necessary to the health of the body politic. Former mayor calls Hawaiian Gardens the new city of Bell. Former Hawaiian Gardens Mayor Ronaldo Rodriguez is upset, believing that the new city council is giving handouts and favors to family and friends. And he makes certain to go to every council meeting to make his point. This past June 11 meeting, Rodriguez pointed to 2 actions by the council: the city's continual hiring of consultants and the hiring and rehiring of one in particular, Dave Barnhart. Barnhart was a consultant that was hired to shadow the Recreation Department director in the fiscal year 2018-2019. He was hired last year to shadow the director because there were numerous problems in that department, said Rodriguez. We paid over $60,000. And of course, nothing ever came of the investigation. The city council decided to rehire Barnhart in February of this year to do the same thing. The city is in the middle of implementing the severe cuts to city programs that residents depend on. And Rodriguez blasted the council's actions. What I want to know is why you're cutting programs, but continue to practice of hiring consultants, said Rodriguez. Why are you doing this? Does a recreation director need all of this help? We pay good money to these employees, and they should be able to take care of tasks as needed. Every director the city hires should be able to do their job without hiring out for extra help. This is a blatant misuse of taxpayer money, your money, and those of California. You are making budget cuts, but this goes against that, Rodriguez added. Rodriguez accused the council of cronyism, hiring and promoting friends, and increasing pay in the time of budget cuts. I just want you people to realize that you are doing the exact same thing that the city of Bell did. The city funds were low, and yet everyone got a big promotion and raise. I want to remind you to be aware of this issue and remember that everyone from the city of Bell landed in jail. He added, it seems that if the council was hiring friends as consultants and ignoring the perfectly capable employees that could do the job and deserve the promotion or a raise. Keep these things in mind,
Time's up.
added Rodriguez.
Thank you.
because eyes are watching you.
Time's
you,
up. Thank
and
you. Do we have any other
Recall.
general public comments?
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. My name is Jimmy Castillo. I come from the Tongva Nation and the Hachimem Nation, which is just south of here. And I'm retired from the Department of Corrections as the Native American spiritual leader. I am a sun dancer and a pipe keeper, and what some people would call a spiritual advisor, or a chaplain, if you would. And I've been on this powwow committee since the beginning of time. When Robert Canada had heard that the village of Pavungna, which this city partially sits on, which is our place of creation, according to our oral tradition, heard about the litigation that we were going through with Cal State Long Beach. He submitted a letter of support on city letterhead. And then Mary and George Golette, who were residents of this city, were also from the Hachimem Nation. He went to them, and he did not know anything about the Tongva people being from this land here. So he started inquiring from George and Mary Golette, and that's the way I made contact with Robert Canada. From there, he started asking how he could put a cultural event here in the city, and that's how the powwow emerged, thus naming it the Friendship Powwow. Because Robert Canada was a people person. If a person was sick, he would go and sit and visit with them for hours upon time. If they needed a doctor's appointment, he would pick them up and take them to the doctor. If they needed to go shopping and they couldn't, he would go shopping for them or take them, which, once again, thus came the Friendship Powwow. And then the Children's Powwow during the Christmas time. All of the children of this city walked away with a gift, and everybody was to sit down and have a dinner with each other at no cost to the city. I belonged to the statewide Bear Clan Society. When our MC, Dan Tom, passed away, who was also from the Bear Clan Society, which are spiritual doctors, we brought the bear dance to this city. And every year on Saturday, I have people from the city asking if the bear dancers are going to be there. And they were so excited that they went back home to tell the rest of their family members that the bear dance was coming back. Then the chief of the Bear Clan passed away. And again, they've made another 4-year commitment. And just last year, Mayor Ronaldo presented tobacco, which is our sacrament, to the statewide Bear Clan Society to invite them back for another 4 years. We have a 4-year commitment to this city, and if the powwow is canceled, we don't know what we're going to do with that commitment. I want to thank you all.
Thank you. Do we have any other general public comment?
First of all, I'd like to show respect and honor the Tongva people of this land. The reason I'm here is for the 19th annual Robert Canada Friendship Powwow. My name is Steve Rosales. I'm a Pascual Yaqui from Arizona. And I've been a volunteer at the powwow for about 5-6 years now. And I just want to let the council know that this powwow really means a lot to not only to the Native community, but to the community of Hawaiian Gardens. You know, when Robert Canada first established this powwow, he established it for 2 reasons. You know, first to bring Native people and to honor the Native people of this land. You know, and secondly, he brought this to share the culture to the Hawaiian Gardens community. You know, and not only that, but also where the powwow takes place, you know, Ferguson Elementary School, it's not only an educational institution, but it now serves as a sacred ground. We use, it's considered sacred ground because there's where we hold ceremonies, and rituals. So, you know, thank you. Yeah. So it's an honor for Hawaiian Gardens to hold this powwow because, you know, to say that you know, Hawaiian Gardens has a, you know, it's a sacred, it holds sacred ground, you know. It's an honor for Hawaiian Gardens to, you know, to hold this powwow. So, and well, I just like to say that that's all we ask is for your support and your help to help keep this powwow going. So I thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any other general public comment?
My name is Cheryl McKnight, and I've worked with the American Indian Institute of CSU Dominguez Hills. I've also worked on your powwow for about 25 years. Thank you. And what I want to say is, LA County has the largest Indian population in the entire country. Most people don't know that because it's an invisible population. You'll see there's no reservations in LA County. When the land was taken, none was given back to the Indians. There are no Indian casinos in LA County. So all people have is their culture and their spirituality. So when this powwow, if it were to be shut down, this would be silencing the voice of the people. This would be silencing the voice of the Tongva and the other Indian people that are in LA County. So I'm asking you in this time when we're trying to open up diversity and care about all of our ethnicities to consider this people because they don't have churches here on every corner. They don't have a venue here at all except the powwow. So I'm asking you to please realize that this is much more important than an entertainment event or a show. This is about a people's heart and blood and their voices. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing. Do we have any other general public comment?
Hey, how you guys doing? How you guys doing? My name is Robert Prida. I live at 18250 Westwood Street, Long Beach. I got it wrong. But anyway, I heard about this meeting, and I had a lot of people come up and tell me about this, and this. But my question is, now, you want a bit of swimming pool. Can you hear me now? Okay, excuse me. You guys want a bit of swimming pool, but what I can't understand is, in due respect to this gentleman here, he just got some kind of a raise. Now, let me finish before I get started. Now, you got programs going here, you got programs going there, you got programs here and there all over the place. And then you're going to cut these people behind me so much money. Now, what I can't understand is, how can you think about putting up a swimming pool by Helen Rose's place, which is not a bad idea. Don't misunderstand me. I think that's a good idea. But when you got money going out to how many places you got money going out to already? You got about five different areas in your department, recreation, it's going out of the money, but yet you want to put a swimming pool in there. Now, my arithmetic isn't the best. My knowledge is the best. For some reason, it's don't add up. Why would you want to do all this, especially when you got all these programs going, you're not done working on them yet. We're going to pay the money out to do all these programs, fix them all this, then you want to put a swimming pool. Now, I just heard about this about 2 days ago, and I heard about just the opposite of what I'm talking about now. I'm hoping I make myself clear. But what I can't understand is, I can see the swimming pool thinking about it, but you can't afford it right now. All the departments you're doing now, you got a department here, here, and there, and you're putting out money you don't have. But you got money to put out to fix the rooms and all this, but yet you want money to put a swimming pool in. But even though that guy was speaking last week, he did a good job. Don't misunderstand me. His words were great, not as good as mine, but he did a better job than I am. But what I'm trying to say is all that money that you're spending out for all the departments that you're working on, Now, I'm not saying all the departments, I can't think of all of them. Like I say, I don't have the paperwork like all these folks do here. But I know one thing.
Thank you, Bob. Do we have any other general public comment?
Hi, good evening. Can you hear me fine? Thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak on on behalf of the Native American community and also the non-Native American community. My name is Miami Gatpandan. I am a staff member at California State University, Dominguez Hills, and I also have the honor to organize the powwow annually. And it is not the honor of the indigenous people to hold the powwow in Dominguez Hills. It is our honor. And the reason for that, it is allowed tradition to continue every year. If we stop the powwow in this city, what will happen is we will stop the opportunity for our children to learn about their ancestors. A lot of the time, children, students even at the university come not realizing that they have Native American ancestry. And the reason for that is no one talks about it. It's an invisible population. Not until they start talking about traditions that their family and grandparents practice that they realize they're Native Americans. And if we stop powwows, we stop their voices and opportunity for them to learn about their history. This population has gone through generations of oppression. If we continue to do this, what does this city state tell the Native American community? It's the same thing with us. We are in Tongva land and we want to honor them. We want to tell them that you are welcome here. This is your land. We are only caretakers of that. And we want to show the highest honor by saying that you are always welcome here. We want to represent your cultures and traditions because many of our children learn about the Native American history through the books. The Native powwow allows the entire community to gather together to learn about the nations, to learn about authentic practices and what their spiritual ceremonies are. I am not Native American, but I speak on their behalf because they remind them so much of where I come from. And as a non-Native, the benefits of learning about the Native Americans is, number one, we share so much history together. And that's something that I want our children to continue practicing, that they should not be ashamed to be Native American, that they should explore those things. And the Native American powwow allows that too. And how does it benefit the city? It attracts other people from around the world, not just from the community of Hawaiian Gardens. I learned about the power in Hawaiian Gardens because I got to work with the Native American community. They are a close group of people. And so we want to make sure that we continue that tradition, and I hope that you would really consider that. I know that budget cuts are difficult. I work in the state bureaucracy, and I understand the limitations that you guys have, and I understand these challenges, but I hope that you would see you see the legacy that the powwow brings. And I just hope that you would look into your heart, into your spirit, why the powwow is so important. It is more than an event. It is a family reunion for a lot of the people. It's an opportunity for people to find out where their roots are so that they can remain rooted in who they are and not be ashamed or no longer be invisible. So I hope that you guys consider still holding the powwow, and I hope that we can continue sharing these rich traditions and not just Hawaiian Gardens, but the city of Carson and in Long Beach, and continue to gather together as allies for our Native American community. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Council. Can you hear me? My name is Jeanette Castillo. I come from the Dene Nation, the Navajo Nation. My husband is a Hutchman in Tongva. If you open up your website on the city, it shows the Tongva land and the Hutchman. When we gather here on this powwow grounds, we're welcome all the indigenous people of California. Also, if you notice, the Aztec dancers will come and also perform for the Aztec folks. With you not letting this happen, this powwow happen, a lot of these indigenous people will not be able to gather as a community and to educate your community, our children, their grandchildren, and so on. If you close this powwow, it's going to be very hard to bring it back. Who does the work? We do. Your city does very little as putting it together. We come together, we show you who to contact, what, where, and how, because you folks don't have the correct information. You don't know protocol, and it's very important that we keep these traditions here alive for our children, great-grandchildren, generations after generations, and we need to honor the California tribes. We're walking on their land. You are sitting on their land. Your homes are built on their lands, and they're to be silenced? No, they have a right to come and be on their land, have ceremonies, have traditional ceremonies, and this would be a really bad situation if you were to turn your back on this powwow. And like Robert Canada said, he wanted this to carry on in his legacy for all the children in your community and families of the indigenous people. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any other general public comment?
Good evening, City Council and City staff, Mayor Pro Tem. I'm concerned. My name is Alba Bach, and I live in Hawaiian Gardens on Juan Avenue. And I am concerned regarding the NALEO conference. I'm concerned if city money was used to pay for hotel, airfare, conference fees. And this took place on June 20, 21st, 22nd. NALEO stands for National Association of Latino Elected and Appointed Officials. It sounds like a government agency, but it's actually a nonprofit organization. So I'm concerned if money from the city was used for that, because we expect you to be fiscal responsible with the city money. We elected you, and you guys are public servants, not to take advantage of the city money. And I also wanted to read something regarding the freedom of speech. It grants all Americans the liberty to criticize the government and speak their minds without fear of being censored or persecuted. Of course, there are exceptions. If individuals present a clear and present danger to society, for example, if they are yelling fire or likely to cause imminent violence. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any other general public comment? Okay, seeing none, we will move forward with the agenda. At this time, we do not have any public hearings. Would any of my colleagues like to pull anything off of the consent calendar for separate discussion? No? Do we have any public comment on the consent calendar? Seeing none, can I get a motion to approve the consent calendar?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent calendar.
Can I get a second?
I second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Motion carries. Next, we will move forward with item C1. This is a discussion relating to the Ambassador Scholarship Guidelines. Do we have a staff report?
Mayor Maravilla and members of City Council, this is a request.
I have to stop. The flash is interrupting, and I can't. Deputy.
Take photography in any public
Deputy,
place?
I can't. It's making me dizzy. Please.
You are dizzy.
Oh, we're gonna take a 5-minute recess. So we will proceed with item C1, and this is discussion item relating to the Ambassador Scholarship Guidelines. Do we have a staff report?
Yes, Madam Mayor, members of City Council. This is an item requested by Councilmember Trimble to discuss the Ambassador Scholarship Guidelines, which were attached to the staff report for your review. Councilmember Trimble.
Yes, I seen an article, and then I seen a video
of men competing with women, and it was supposed to be the Miss Hawaiian Gardens program, but they changed it to ambassadors so men and women can go and compete against each other. And it wasn't brought to council, so I was questioning why can they make a major change without council's input? Because I know the whole, well, just California mainly, they're going with this diversity thing, but that's not a city's goal. I mean, if you want men to be ambassadors, we should have men be an ambassador of Hawaiian Gardens alongside Miss Hawaiian Gardens, because girls grow up looking forward to Miss Hawaiian Gardens. And I don't think you should combine them. Just have an ambassador and a Miss Hawaiian Gardens instead of just putting them together without no notice. And that's what struck me strange. There was no notice. It just happened. And I've always told the city manager that these small committees, they can't make these city-changing directions without coming to us to approve them first. And that's all I'm asking is bring it to us first before you can do it. And then if it gets outvoted, at least I had a chance to voice my opinion, and I won't cry if I'm outvoted. I'll just want a say-so in it. Because there's been, in the past, game-changing events are done by committees without council. And I'm just asking to please come to council with your decision, and then we can comment or approve your decision. And that's why I brought this up, and that was my...
Before we move forward with discussion, do we have any public comment on this item?
Good afternoon, Anna Rodriguez, 221st Street. In regards to the ambassador program, I think it's a really good idea that, this is happening. It shows, the diversity of the city. I am a little concerned that it happened right away. And not just that it happened right away, but also we had two gentlemen also participate in this ambassadorship. But I please don't, think I'm knocking the two winners, but it would have been nice if we would have seen a gentleman also as an ambassador. If that was the case, why didn't you guys have, I'm sorry, that is kind of distracting in the flash. Sorry. If it was an ambassadorship program, then I believe you guys should have had 1 and 1, not both females. Please don't take this the wrong way. I'm sure both females are really awesome, but ambassadorship is, a diverse group. So I hope for the next election or for the next program, the next event for the ambassadorship, you guys do take into consideration, okay, 1 male, 1 female. That's what we're all about, diversity. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I comment on one other thing that I forgot to?
Well, let's see if there's any
Okay,
other public
okay,
comment.
great.
Do we have any other public comment? Seeing none?
I was going to say, I noticed on the film last time that there's
Sorry, it's really hard. I can't.
there is male contestants that are city employees, and if you're a city employee, you get your college paid for, so you can get a degree. But yet, in the ambassadorship, they also get scholarships. So that employee got a
It's
scholarship.
really distracting with the flash. Please.
That employee
deter
got a
from-
scholarship, and we pay him for going to school in the first place. So that's kind of like double dipping. So there should be some guidelines on this.
So with regards to the scholarship program and employees also applying for that, in that sense, I do agree. And I would like us to reimburse the full cost of the education up to the limit is stated in the MOU, because I do feel that any classes relating to an employee's education benefits the employee and their work performance here in the city. So I would like to see that change implemented. And I know that's something that I've spoken to Ernie about. In terms of the ambassador program, I know Monica and I both sit on the special events committee. And just as a history and background to the community that's here, in the past, there were no minutes or agendas posted for the committee meetings. And before I actually sat on any committees, a lot of major decisions were being made, like what kind of trees were on Carson Street, big project ideas. And so I requested that we now post agendas and minutes, and that the minutes be included in our packet so that we can review any work that the CIP committee does, or that the special events committee does, or the finance committee. And I think that's been very helpful because I'm able to read them and understand what all the different committees, which is composed of us and staff, are working on. So that is, I'm sorry, I can't. I'm very distracted, and it causes a glare, and I can't see. And I don't know if anyone knows, my city clerk has a medical condition. She cannot do flash. So we need to respect staff, and we need to respect staff. And please,
Mayor, if I may, is it possible for you to take pictures without a flash, or to? Can you move to the back of the room and take pictures? That may be less disruptive.
Do you understand? Here is light, back there is dark. Maybe you're not an artist or a photographer, just a word person, Smith. No.
Well, yeah.
I have every right to be here under the Constitution. First Amendment, remember that one?
You're right.
Your leader there attempted.
Excuse me, sir. I'm not.
People photographing.
You have a.
Document forwarded to the recreation department telling employees they have to light. I have that document.
Sir.
We're causing disruption, and this is a business meeting, and we cannot have this back and forth. We need to respect and no flash, please. It's disruptive to our conversations. It's disruptive to my colleagues, and it's most disrespectful and disruptive to my city clerk, who has a medical condition and cannot do flash. So we need to please.
Excuse me, sir. This is disruptive to the meeting. You're right to take pictures, because I'm asking you.
Just let me do my work as a journalist.
Oh.
And just let me do my job. Period.
You can take pictures in a way that does not disrupt the meeting.
According to you?
According to the law, actually.
You
Sir,
should
you
go
need
sit
to
down.
sit down.
You need to sit down.
Your right does not include the right to disrupt the purpose and the business of the meeting. It needs to be conducted. We've provided accommodations for you in order to provide you with the opportunity to take pictures. But you're taking flash photography while they're trying to read the agenda and participate in discussion is disruptive to the meeting. So we're kindly asking you to let this meeting proceed. Thank you.
I lost track.
Madam Mayor, we're talking about any proposed changes to the guidelines. I believe as of now, Councilmember Trimble suggested essentially a two different program system, and there was consensus on not allowing employees to participate, as employees have education benefits provided per the MOU.
As I was discussing about the Ambassador Scholarship Program, it did come to our attention that we had male participants, and in order to accommodate them and allow them to participate, we would change the name, propose a change of name from Miss Hawaiian Gardens to Ambassador Program. Since we didn't have something already in place, they enrolled under Miss Hawaiian Gardens program, and they were competing for Miss Hawaiian Gardens. So we wanted to make it appropriate so that anyone can participate and be an ambassador for the city. Now, to bring back Miss Hawaiian Gardens and create two separate programs, I'm completely fine with. I don't know how my colleagues feel about that.
So when I sat in during this meeting, when I heard that there was males wanting to participate in the program, I first thought about maybe a Miss Hawaiian Gardens and a Mr. Hawaiian Gardens, but then that would be us awarding two, so it'd be two winners, right? So then we talked about that, and then seeing that would be I don't know. So we would have to create another scholarship for the Mr. Hawaiian Gardens. So during the meeting, we just came up with how about the ambassador, and then they'll be competing against each other.
Madam Mayor, Member City Council, so I don't want to interrupt the discussion, but and we can certainly bring this back as part of that process when this kicks back up, but we can't necessarily identify folks based on their anatomy as far as male or female. It's got to be broader than that in accordance with state law. And so we can provide some recommendations for the City Council to consider, but I suggest that tonight, really, we talk about whether you want staff to come back with a two-part program with some broad parameters that are consistent with state law, but we really can't be discussing or making decisions based on someone's biological birth.
Thank you, Ernie. That was one of my concerns. We don't want to be discriminatory towards any group or individual. I think this comes more as a concern from Councilmember Trimble, the fact that he wasn't notified or wasn't aware. But the ambassador program, I think it serves a purpose, which is to have a representative from the community out there, being the spokesman or the face of the community. So I personally don't have a problem whether it's female, male, or anyone who identifies as something other. With that said, like Ernie mentioned, I don't think we should be discriminatory to any group. In addition to with regards to employees not participating, we do have employees in the recreation department that work part-time that are not benefits. So I believe that some of them do not get tuition reimbursement, and they do live in the city.
We will certainly verify that. I'm sure you're correct. I don't know when employees qualify for certain benefits based on number of hours and time with the city. So it is possible that an employee could have applied that doesn't qualify for other benefits. So we'd have to make that stipulation.
I wasn't aware that the tuition reimbursement didn't apply to all employees, but that's perhaps something that we can discuss if that's the case with the next contract and set monies aside for part-time employees to qualify for tuition reimbursement. And I'm really, I understand where you're coming from, Mr. Trimble, in terms of wanting two separate programs, but it really doesn't make too much of a difference to me. An ambassador, a deputy ambassador, I think it's great.
Yeah. So if we took a vote, I'd be fine with it as long as it came through council first.
And so I want to speak to that because the mayor alluded to it earlier. You're right. The practice has been the city has a variety of committees that address everything from special events, capital projects, finance, a variety of areas. And so part of what was going on is there were decisions being made that the city council may or may not have concurred with. So to address that, the minutes from those meetings are not put on this agenda that's before you. Every single agenda may or may not have meetings if they happened, because some of them are ad hoc. They may not meet but once, twice a year. And the city council can pull those meetings minutes and discuss the changes and provide direction otherwise. And so it's not unsimilar to the planning commission minutes. Just like the planning commission, when it goes to put on an agenda, at any time you can say, you know what, I don't like that decision by the planning commission, I want to discuss it. We would do the exact same thing. So that way what you're saying doesn't happen again.
Yes. And that was the purpose of us creating agendas and following up with minutes and putting it on this packet. So I do want everyone to be aware it is available for the entire community to know the work that the committees are doing. And most importantly, I think it allows us to dig deeper into specific questions, research, and a lot of these topics and decisions can take a lot of time. And I know we have a finite amount of resources for our council meetings. So I just want to be respectful of the work that the committees do, because I think all of our committees dedicate a lot of time and dedication with staff to sort out any questions or programs or concerns.
Well, I've had a blue screen on my computer for the last 4 months, so I'm not receiving anything. And I've let our secretary know, and I let you know, and you have called Sergio. She's called Sergio. I've called Sergio, but he's not coming over to fix the screen. So I'm like in the dark.
Okay, I'll take care of it tomorrow.
Thank you very much.
But it is printed. I just want to make sure.
All right. Okay. Well, I've never received one. This was all new to me when I seen it. So, but at least we're hashing it out now.
Yeah.
and I won't be blindsided no more. So that's good.
Okay, moving on to discussion item C2, discussion relating to city council comments. Do we have a staff report?
Yes, Madam Mayor, Member City Council, this is a request by Councilmember Trimble to discuss the placement of council comments on city council agendas.
Yes, because council comes up and they kind of expect a response from us. And for the last 4 years, we've been responding, but now you're saying people get offended with our responses. And I just feel we're not complete by not responding to their comment.
Do we have any public comment on this item?
Yes, I do. This is a ridiculous problem that we have here. The council has always intermingled with the community. If you're going to stand up there and just let us talk and not say a single word, we don't know what you're thinking. We don't even know what you're going to do. When we have one-on-one with, if it's a problem with the trash company or somebody, Mr. Trimble could probably come up with and give us some information or anything. But you guys just sit there like a bunch of dummies and just you're actually ignoring us. That's what you're doing. Because we don't get no response. We don't get no response anywhere. So this is a Trump administration here. And I'm just sick because there's only 2 people there doing this. But there's 3 other ones there who should also think about what's going on. If you 3 can just sit there and then just let somebody take control and make decisions for you guys shouldn't be there. So this is, I'm glad Mr. Trimble brought that up because we've been doing this since 1964. And all of a sudden you guys change, and because Myra doesn't want to speak to the community, that's what you're doing. You don't want to speak to the community. So everybody lives here, and they say, well, we don't know what they're going to do. Nothing. Thank you.
Joe Cabrera Zermeño, 1920 to 1926, Sane Hawaiian Gardens. I'm a legal registered voter in the city. Councilman Trimble, you are a duly elected representative of the vote by the people. And yet, here we are nearly 7 months into the reign of this person and her puppets, and you are continually bringing up you're not getting information from the city manager. We can go back on every meeting and you're saying, how come you didn't tell me? How come you didn't tell me? Is that what we gave a $15,000 extra signing bonus to this city manager for? To not inform you, an elected official, duly elected by the voters? Continue the fight. The voters are with you now. We see what's going on. We see it very clearly. Recall.
Do we have any other public comment? Okay, seeing none. I'd like to respond to you, Mr. Trimble. I know that when we talked about, when I first became mayor and we talked about restructuring the agenda, in the past, we only had one opportunity for public comment in the very beginning of the meeting. And we had no other opportunity for members of the public to address the city council. Sometimes the meetings would last 5 hours, 6 hours. So in my opinion, it was only right to add public comment before each and every item so that when we're discussing the item and making a decision on the item, the comments that are being made on that specific item are fresh in our mind. And I think that has worked well because, a lot of the comments that are made, I don't forget them. They just happened. We can have a discussion in response to those comments. In terms of general public comment, the reason why I really wanted the structure of not responding is because of Mr. Rodriguez and previous council members that used to sit on the dais. we had a lot of disruption before, and it was very disrespectful. What would happen before, we would have members of the community come criticize the city council, and they would yell back, and they would exchange papers, and there was a lot of chaos and commotion. And this is a business meeting, and as long as I coordinate the meeting and I am the chairperson of the meeting, this is the way that I think it's appropriate to handle this meeting. Also, we were violating the Brown Act, where council members would get off topic and start discussing an item that is not on the agenda. So as much as we wanted to prevent that, that would happen continuously, and that puts us in a legal bind and possibility of getting sued. So we were attacking residents before, yelling at residents. It was very awful, and you can watch the videos yourself. I don't know if you recall. I don't know if you were here attending those meetings, but I was. And again, our attorney would tell us, you guys are off topic. You guys cannot engage with the community. That's illegal. And yet it would happen over and over again. If you go to other city council meetings from around the area and anywhere in California, and we just attended NALEO, where we got a lot of amazing information that I look forward to putting in a memo format and sharing with all of you. There's a lot of things that we need to very strictly, this is a business meeting, and we need to conduct it like a business meeting. Now, if you want to give public comment back, anytime somebody has an actual concern about their trash not being picked up, we have staff members here that go and talk to them immediately. But in terms of responding, that's why we're elected and we live here, so that we can go to their houses, we can call them, and I'll tell you, I get numerous calls, messages every single day about different concerns from very different residents throughout the city that need assistance. So I want to keep these meetings professional. I want to keep them businesslike, and I don't want to give my council colleagues or even myself the opportunity to attack the residents the way they used to be attacked.
Well, I remember a different side where it was kind of both sides, but our attorney would keep us in line. There's never been a lawsuit against council because attorneys stay sharp, saying, hey, you can't go there, and we wouldn't go there. But at least we make an effort to answer questions, and there'd be communication, and they could leave knowing, and even if they like the answer or not, sometimes we'd agree with them saying our hands are tied. We can't, fill your request because it's not lawful.
But that back and forth is not appropriate. It's not legal.
No, I'm not saying back and forth. They'd comment, we'd explain, and they leave happy, sad, but they'd have the answer.
But that's
it's not
what
back
would
and
happen.
forth conversation.
That's not what would happen, and we all saw that in the videos.
Well, for the last 9 years, listen, you can't look at that video when unions lined this whole place up and was yelling at us. That's not really a meeting. That was a set-up thing.
So I went to a newly elected council member, new mayors, back in January, and back then I was trying to find out, because we had the same conversation, is that violating the Brown Act or is it not? And at the conference, they actually did bring that up, and they said that is violating the Brown Act. So that's why I'm still concerned, or not concerned, but just wondering, how did it go on for so long here?
I agree.
Because going to those conferences, we're all newly elected, so just asking those questions, that just reassured what's going on.
Yes,
in
I've been
January.
to many conferences. And you know what? Sometimes I got misled at a conference. Let's ask the one who knows. Is that a violation of the Brown Act? If Mr. Rodriguez asked something and then it was my turn to comment and I answered his question to the best of my knowledge, is that?
The Brown Act, if I may, Madam Mayor, the Brown Act it provides that you may briefly respond to public comment and or direct staff. So if there's, for example, a complaint about trash service, it's appropriate to say, staff, please look into that. The Brown Act doesn't allow engagement on a non-agendized item, though. So participating in a back and forth or getting into a lengthy speech or anything would violate the Brown Act. It's not a one-size-fits-all rule. It has to be flexible. But in general, the Brown Act is very specific that it is a brief response.
Yeah, but a brief response is legal.
A brief response is legal, and it can be conducted on any point in the agenda, so whether it's at the time or later in the agenda.
Before my election, I attended the council meetings for almost 2 years, every council meeting for almost 2 years before my election. And I saw many council meetings where they had the back and forth, and it got really out of hand. And those people that are here, they've been around the council meetings, you know exactly what we're talking about here. And we had even residents coming and speaking to Mr. Ray, Hank, and the past council that were here, that were sick and tired of watching the council members fighting, arguing among each other, and among also having arguments and calling names to even the residents. So I saw many instances where it didn't go well. The fact that we haven't got sued, gotten sued, it doesn't mean that it's okay to continue violating the law. So I think my objective is to stay within the law. If residents have a concern, they can speak. They got 3 minutes. Any concerns, we can always get back to them. When people have concerns, talk to me. I'm not afraid to talk to anybody. Or they want to concern about any information, they always reach out to Ernie, Lucy. But if they really want the information, they can get it. But I think my objective is stay within the law and avoid. You see the drama we have already here. We don't want more of that. People, they're respectful. Why? Why can't they speak their mind in a respectful way without flipping off somebody, insulting people, calling names? What kind of people is that? That's, kids, young adults come here to watch our videos, to learn from school, and they see these people. They're respecting the council. They're respecting one another. What kind of role model are we giving to these young adults? My thing is these kids are getting scared, afraid. Like, man, I don't want to be there. I don't want to do that. To be called names, be respected. So we're doing a disservice to the community to even using that kind of behavior and the respectful to one another. So I would recommend to stay where we at.
Are we okay to move forward with the next item?
Well, I don't think it's an item on the agenda to change. It's just more to clarify whether it could be done or not. Is that correct, Megan?
The item is council's consideration related to council comments. So if you'd like to direct staff to bring this back for another time, you can do that.
Okay, so we'll move forward with item C3. This is resolution number 064-2019 to amend the current budget for fiscal years 2017 through 2019. Okay, do we have a staff report?
I do, Madam Mayor. There we go. So this is essentially a culmination of the various study sessions and meetings we've had related to the citywide budget. Before I begin, I do want to state that somebody during public comments stated about what their expectations were of the city council. Myself and staff are always available to provide facts to the public because some of the comments made were just simply not accurate. And at any agenda item, whether it's budget or any agenda item ever put on the agenda, I'll be happy to sit down with any member of the public to provide details and facts. So if you entertain, my request is I'm going to do one staff report for all three budget resolutions as they're all related and connected. Okay? So let me begin kind of describing how we got here, again, as a reminder to yourself and for those members of the public. So in late April, we started the budget process with a $1.8 million deficit, due primarily to almost no growth in revenues and increase in operational cost. And we went through a variety of those. Some of those include not only employee salary and benefits, but contract costs with sheriffs and just contract costs across the city. We are a contract city, meaning we contract, and most of our expenditures go to contracts to provide the essential services that the community expects. The City Council held a budget study session on May 13th and discussed proposed budget with a structural deficit at that time of $970,000. The City Council at that time provided city staff with direction on proposed expenditures and program service budget adjustments. And as I go through the presentation, please interrupt me if you have a question on anything that's presented. The City Council met for a second budget study session on May 29th and provided additional direction and proposed program services modifications to bring the budget to balance. The City Council approved new appropriations from fiscal year 18-19 savings into the city's project management fund. We will itemize those later in the presentation. The budget, as proposed, includes all of the proposed modifications and is balanced for the general fund. The proposed budget also includes CIP projects for the next two fiscal years, which are listed on budget pages 131 and 132. The other issue that we discussed at length during our budget study sessions was essentially what has become an attack on city services. The Office of the Attorney General and the Bureau of Gambling Control, under the pressure of tribal gaming, is seeking to revoke laws that have been in place for over 20 years and could have a drastic impact on the city. Our card club revenues represent the largest revenue source, and it is at risk of big reductions due to the Attorney General's proposed changes. As of right now, the proposed changes have not been disclosed. As you know, you tried to keep the public informed on this issue and have even taken members of the public to some of these hearings to testify about the importance of these revenues to the many programs that the city provides. The city committed energy and resources to stop the Attorney General and the Director of Bureau and Gambling Control, Stephanie Shimasu, from proceeding with their efforts to create new regulations. As early as this week, there was a meeting with the Attorney General to discuss these issues. These games have been approved for over 20 years. There has been no statutory change or additional decisions that compel or justify these changes by the Department of Justice. With card clubs revenue being almost 70% of the city's budget, the consequences of these changes could be devastating. Okay, so what is in the budget, though, is over $19 million of general fund expenditures to provide public safety, quality of life, and all of the programs and services that the community expects. Also in the budget is $23 million in committed funds that include $15 million for reserves, $750,000 for equipment replacement fund, and that is to replace things that happen as emergencies like roofs, cars, plumbing, anything like that qualifies. Additionally, there's over $4.6 million for projects and programs that the City Council has approved up to this point that are currently in some level of the completion process. Additionally, we still hold $2.7 million in unspendable successor agency monies that we are negotiating with the state of California as to the disposition of those dollars. This graph just kind of puts our earlier comments with regards to the importance of card club revenues into perspective. Again, they represent almost 70% of the city's revenues and essentially 70% of all the program and services that the city provides. This graph here represents those revenues derived from residents. So the card club revenues are primarily derived by non-residents, and this is how Hawaiian Gardens compares as far as the revenues that it brings in from that typically come from residents compared to other agencies. This is a summary of the general fund revenues that's in your budget book. As you can see there, again, the licenses and permits is where the card club revenues come in and represent the majority of the revenues. And again, I'm going pretty fast as we've discussed this various times, and if you have questions, just please stop me. This is a summary of the general fund expenditures that are in the budget. I focused on the general fund as that is essentially where the City Council has the most discretion. All of the other funds in the budget are restricted. They can only be used for certain things like Section 8 or Measure R like streets, and they're restricted on how they can be used. These, you have 100% discretion as to how you use them. And this is really how you pay all of the quality of life programs like the $5 million you dedicate to recreation and community services. So now I'll go over the new appropriations for the project management fund that are listed in, excuse me, just let me get the right reso. This is related to resolution number 064-2019. So these are the new appropriations that were placed into the project management fund as a result of savings in fiscal year 18-19. And again, I won't go through every one, but just a reminder of what was included that's being moved over to that fund for completion. Now I'd like to just summarize the major budget modifications that are in the budget that happened if you compared 18-19 to the upcoming 2-year budget. The majority of the changes that brought the budget to balance were essentially across the board percentage cuts to most of the operations. So I don't think you're going to find an operation that didn't take some kind of hit, but that's how we balanced the majority of the budget. Additionally, there was budget modifications, whether that's enhancements or elimination of certain programs. Yes, sir.
When I requested like 5% shaved off of every program we have, I never did see a result of that shaving.
That's what, so when you said that, that's when we were $970,000 in the hole. And so when we came back the second time, the only result you're going to see is everybody's budget went slightly down. It wasn't quite 5%. It was different amounts. But essentially what you suggested, and I think the direction we got from City Council at that time, was to do across-the-board cuts where appropriate. And there were still some program changes, but that's how we got essentially to balance almost $1 million.
And then also, if we recall, we didn't make any cuts to our senior programs at all. I think that was one of the only programs that didn't receive any cuts.
Yeah, right. So it wasn't, that's why I don't want to say like every single person got attached or got affected by that, because some programs you didn't want to touch, and some programs we had made some recommendations from staff, and you changed, either putting them back in or, but to your point, how we got to balance, how we got to where we are today was by doing across-the-board cuts, what you suggested.
Yeah, because I wanted to not eliminate programs, just shave every program and keep every program.
And just as a reminder as well, I mean, I think this is a conversation that I brought up and then my city manager brought up as well. Doing a percentage cut on all programs isn't really feasible in the long run. The reason is because of inflation, cost of living increases. And so even though you'll see a 5% cut now, it'll quickly be 10% next year because just everything is more expensive. So if we're trying to make cuts for the next 2 years, simply shaving off a percentage isn't going to be sufficient. So it's either we cut bulk programs or increase fees. And I know increased fees was not something that we were in favor of doing because those fees are for children or for our seniors or for community members. And as we know, our entire city is low income. So that was a discussion that we already had in one of our study sessions.
I recall that.
Yeah, and to that point, so for example, the city, through the budget document, it's making a policy decision, right? And so we did not cut our sworn personnel, for example. That was not somewhere and it's our largest contract. But obviously you value the city's public safety, and thus we cut in other areas. Because again, an across the board is a good way to kind of start, but sometimes it's just not possible for things like public safety, for things like senior programs. Not that it's not possible, but you chose to avoid it. You, the city council, that's your policy. Okay?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay. And so, again, these are major budget modifications outside of that practice. So, again, we got there primarily through cutting program services, contracts with either firms or consultants, which provide, it is, I know there's some criticism about that, and most of those actually are brought under my authority, not the city council. City council is not even made aware of those, because they're temporary in nature or provide a specific service, and then either are eliminated or remain on an on-call basis for their specialty, because we don't have employees on staff that could do some of those things, essentially. So I'll kind of go through these real briefly. Again, we talked about them, but community forums were incorporated. I think we've had 2 already, and we will continue to have those once every month or month and a half to educate the public about a variety of programs and or services provided either by the city or outside of the city. Purchase of Prop A funds for transportation. As you know, the city subsidizes the transportation program. This allows you to do it on a more cost-effective manner. Volunteer coordinating, recreation and community service organizational changes. Basically, we're upgrading classification to provide more supervision in the recreation and community services operation. And then last year you added a splash pad, and so the contract for splash pad maintenance has been added to the budget. There's an elimination of the Hawaiian Gardens, Activate Hawaiian Gardens program, enhancement of the boxing program, going to a 12-month pool program, enhancement of the carnival program, and changing the parade celebration to every 5 years, corporate recreation program, elimination of the 3K fun run. Elimination of the powwow event.
Wait, I had a question.
Yes, sir.
Enhancement of the carnival program and changing parade celebration to every 5 years. Is that set in stone? No.
All of this is up for discussion.
Okay. Okay.
But I don't
great.
want us to have too much
Yes.
discussion because after presentation, we'll
Exactly.
allow for public
Let's
comment.
bring it. Yes, so I understand.
Okay. Reintroduction of the Memorial Day event was added back in for the last study session. Senior health fair, providing a senior health fair, and obviously the biggest addition to the budget was the teen center. So final considerations for the city council is the city council considered a substantial amount of data and made very difficult decisions that improved or that helped produce a balanced budget. The financial practices dictate how we operate in the city and how we manage shortfalls. The best practice really is to either reduce or eliminate programs or add additional revenue. Obviously, you have the ability and the right to go into savings to operate programs at the same level. But long term, that's just not a very prudent way to do business because you're going to run out of savings doing that. And so the best way to do it is either you reduce or eliminate programs or you add additional revenue. This budget reflects the City Council's highest priority of providing the community with excellent public safety and quality of life services while being considerate of the city's short-term and long-term financial health. So again, you are providing over $5 million in quality of life programs, almost $5 million in public safety programs. So that represents the largest chunk of your budget. And so I don't want tonight to be about what's not in the budget, but what's in the budget. And you're providing $19 million in programs and services that improve the quality of life for the residents of the city. And also maintain the city's reserves at a high level and provide additional reserves to address ongoing emergency situations. I'll be happy to answer any questions now or after public comment.
Yeah, we'll answer them after public comment. At this time, we'll have public comment on this item. If anyone would like to, I know a lot of you spoke on the budget, but if you want to make any additional comments related to anything in the proposed budget, now is the time.
Reynaldo Rodriguez. I noticed that you still have the $250,000 budget for your dog park, and yet you want to eliminate our parade for once every 5 years. You want to eliminate. I didn't see anything about the powwow. Was the powwow also? Was it eliminated still, or is it still on the budget? I guess this city is going to the dogs for $250,000 so you can go walk your mutts out there. This is ridiculous. And I can see two of you who agree with this, but I can't see the three of you other ones who agree with this too. We're talking about the powwow of about $10,000, and you want to cut that. The salary increases that you guys got is ridiculous. Also, I seen where on the city budget there, city council budget, that we even have overtime pay. I never heard of that. It's on there. It's on there, and like I said. How can you eliminate our annual parade? This is what the community looks forward to. We should probably cost us about $80,000 a year. And powwow, $10,000. You wanted to eliminate memorial, which is another $10,000. Of course, that didn't happen because I'm pretty sure that some of the big leaders came down on that too. But yet, $250,000 for a dog park. First of all, we don't have a place to put it at. And what is this? Is this Beverly Hills where we have to have a dog park so that you can walk your dogs? The city is a dog park. You can see all the little chihuahuas all over the street. They know where to go. They know where, and they go right back home. So I just don't understand. I can see those two, but I can't understand you three agreeing with all this that is happening on this budget.
Do we have any other public comment for this item?
Joe Cabrera Zermeño, 1920-1926, saying, a legal registered voter here in the city of Hawaiian Gardens. May 26, you had a second budget meeting, and it's my understanding that the people that did show up, by the way, the meeting was not recorded, video, or audio, it's my understanding. And they were against this dog park. They didn't know it was $250,000. And apparently all of you went, oh, okay, we won't do anything. And then you had a recent community meeting, 3 of them. The first one, only 7 people showed. The second one, 20 people showed. And the third one on the Saturday, I think my sources are telling me the same thing, 20. And in each case, it was always pushing Maravilla's dog park idea. In the second one, they even gave them little, like they were children. Hi, let's separate into groups and let's talk about what you like. The dog park, you like that one? Oh, it's going to be so good. And here you are pushing it. There are 5,466 registered voters here. We're going to get you out for this reason. At a homelessness town hall meeting, the city manager stated that the county rejected Measure H grant for the school district due to it not being housing related. However, there were state funds allocated by previous council that can be used to address homelessness. Has that money been allocated to the district? The figure allocated by the previous council was $250,000 to the school district. Is it a coincidence that the dog park is the same amount? I'm shocked. Is a dog park higher priority than our children? Seriously? In this budget, where is the money being proposed to buy the property on 211th and Norwalk for the 5-story homeless shelter? Oops! Affordable housing, according to the Lakewood Sheriff. Is that in the budget? Is Fred Lacon's recent promotion to a senior level, is that in here? And his raise?
Thank you. Time's up. Do we have any other public comment?
Hi. I have a question regarding the translator. Okay, can you hear me now? Okay. I have a question regarding the translator. She didn't completely was able to translate everything that was spoken in Spanish so you can get a clear picture of what's going on. So therefore, you're missing sections. So she actually picked parts of his statement. So that's very important that all of the information was translated. You can't pick and choose what you wanted to put in that. And I don't think that was very fair as that goes. And also, you notice that you cutting out the powwow, and that's a community event, and it's important. It's a part of history for your children in the community. And as Native people, to honor our people of the land, but yet you put a car show in. Really, does that override something that's more educational than us knowing history of a bunch of 54 Chevys and lowriders? Is that rights over education? As far as this powwow goes, you would rather have a car show than something that's educational for family and family gatherings and education for children? Is that more important? Is that you're going to cut out a powwow versus a car show? And the translator part, that's not fair to all of us here, that she picked and choose what she can translate. Normally a translator is supposed to be fluent in Spanish, and she's going to have to be fluent with that she can read complete Spanish to be a translator, not pick and choose. In a court, you can't go to a court and pick and choose what you want as a translator there. So if this is legal documents and legal conversation and for the city to understand what's going on, you can't have a translator that picks and chooses what she wants to put in.
Jan LaPointe, 12020 226th Street. I appreciate Lucy's efforts to translate. As a person challenged by the Spanish language, I speak a few words, but not a lot. I would have appreciated having someone translating as he went along so that I could understand all that he said. And I'm sure there's a lot of residents who are in the same boat, whether it's Spanish or any other language that they didn't understand. So I'm disappointed in that. The dog park, you're not putting it where all the citizens can use it. When you're in a situation where your city is facing the potential of loss of income because of, in our case, the casino issues, you don't go install a $250,000 dog park. That park has to be maintained. And I haven't seen plans, but you have to have two separate runs because you can't put the little dogs in with the big dogs. And Ray is correct. The dogs in this city run around and do their business wherever they choose. And I hope that with the contract that we have with animal control, that they start picking up these animals that are not being properly taken care of. Swimming would be great to have a new pool. But we need to be on an austerity program. Giving people raises, it's nice to get raises. But the raises seem out of sync with the fact that we're potentially looking at reduction in revenues in the city. Consultants, maybe you can justify those raises if you let go of the consultants that we have in the city. Maybe the people that are doing the jobs are going to have to just work a little harder, or as I was always told, work a little smarter. I don't think that you have done your best on this. I think you've picked and chosen little treasures that you want, and you've forgotten about the people that you represent. And I'm very sad that you've done that. That's very disappointing.
Once again, good afternoon or good evening. So there's a couple of things on the budget that I am a little concerned about. I was at the second meeting for the budget, and I remember Councilwoman Rodriguez brought up an idea which I fully support in regards to instead of having a dog park, would it be better to, allow dogs in Clarkdale Park, putting little not doggy bags, but little poop bags for the dogs, which I think is an awesome idea. I hope you guys do consider that. A dog park it would be nice to have, but realistically, yeah, in our budget right now, I don't think it's beneficial. In regards to some of the programs that are being cut, I am fully 100% behind the powwow. I believe, as I stated before, it is not just, culturally, for Native Americans. It's also for, the Mexicans, the Hispanics, whatever, Native American, for whatever country you are, we learn about their culture. That is who we are. We're a diverse community. I believe we should continue to honor that. Memorial Day, I'm glad you guys didn't cut the budget for that. I think that's also a part of not just our culture, but our heritage. In regards to other events, I see a lot of programs for different departments that I don't feel that there should, it's an excessive. No offense to the senior citizens, but I feel like some of the programs or the events or the trips that they go on should be more towards, educating our youth. I'm always, our youth, our future. I'm not saying that we should completely cut any of the programs for the seniors, but I'd like to see some of that money geared more towards our youth, because eventually, we're all going to pass away. Who's going to lead this city? It's our youths. And we need to show them that their education, they are important to us just as much as our seniors and our adults, not just our seniors, but our adults too. There's many more things, but unfortunately I don't have much time. But I hope you guys would take into consideration allowing dogs in the park. So that way, I could take my dog also to the park, to Clarkdale or even Pioneer. Yeah, that's about it. Thank you.
Thank you. I just want to make a quick comment about translations. On our agenda, it says that if you require any translation services, that you notify the city clerk's office 1 business day in advance. Unfortunately, our city clerk is not a certified translator. Most city clerks aren't. So Lucy does the very best that she can, and she does a very excellent job. But we do need to read the agenda in anticipation, 24-hour advance notice to our city clerk so that she can provide certified translation services in any language that is required.
Once again, my name is Jimmy Castillo, and I'd like to say to all of you, Haku, 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 Haku. Haku mi wai chinish chinish, Haku mi wai wiat, Haku mi wai nakta waste aqua mushe. Se bladem ko pachem na willy leskima nishu yahami. You got a translator for that? I was speaking in the original language of this land, Los Angeles, Orange, Riverside, and San Bernardino County. And basically what I said was, to all the men, women, and children who are here, welcome to the land, and may the spirits be with you while you're here. So I didn't say anything derogatory, but what I wanted to say is that I go out to many schools, and I do this. I speak my language. I teach my culture to all these schools, and never ask for anything in return. The only thing I get in return is a smile on the children's faces, and I've done it to schools nearby here. I've done it to schools in all 4 of those counties that I just mentioned, and never asked for anything in return. It has been an honor for me to do this, and I've done it here in the city of Hawaiian Gardens. And in fact, I ran for lieutenant governor in 2010 in this state, and I also received the Lifetime Achievement Award from President Barack Obama, my wife as well. And I've been on the media many times, and I've come to the defense of this city many times for the bashing that they have gotten for the gangs and different things. I've told them about all the activities that the city has done for their people and also the surrounding community. I've also, at the powwow, honored and memorialized past mayors and past council members who have gone through and done the work that they have done in this city. And I will continue to do so whenever I'm called upon to do that. Robert Canada, I'm going to bring him up again. Robert Canada, come from the Choctaw Nation out of Oklahoma. And when he was dying, I was over him and doing ceremony over him to prepare him to go to that place that we all refer to, whether it's heaven, Mecca, the spirit world, wherever. And some of the city members and city council members were there, and he made us all promise that we would keep the powwow going no matter what. And if the powwow is put on the chopping block and it's stopped, it'll be very, very difficult to get it going again if ever we do get it going again. What a sad, sad day that would be, because it is very educational to all the children of this area as well as surrounding areas. And I just wanted to make, I know my time's up, I wanted to make one final mention. If you go here to the, Hawaiian Gardens on Informal History, and you scroll up, the first thing you see is my tribe. May I approach the bench and show this to the city?
Well, thank you for the public comment. Okay, do we have more?
Francis Rodriguez. So you hired a part-time public safety manager, from what I can tell from the budget. I went to the public safety meeting last week, and I reviewed the ordinance 582 regarding the unruly, noisy parties and stuff like that. Anyways, did that new public safety manager review the ordinance, is my question. Because I read it and I see a lot of problems here. It refers to our local officers as police officers. We don't have police officers in this city. We have sheriff deputies. There's a big difference between city police and county sheriff's deputies, and that's what's in this ordinance. It keeps on referring to police officers. And it also, I noticed that some of the wording is run together, like this was done on a word processor about 10 years ago. That's what it looks like to me. And I also see some of the things that are not allowed. It says, participate in any party in which a band, orchestra, I don't know who has an orchestra in their backyard, radio, phonograph, somebody has a record player, just different things that's on this ordinance that should be corrected. It just looks like a teenager wrote it. Anyways, if that's what the kind of quality we have in the new public safety officer, manager, part-timer, we're in bad shape here. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Jesus Mendoza. I live at 22022 St. Avenue. I won't need a translator this time. I just want to tell you guys a little bit of the powwow since when I first started working here. I didn't know what it was. Like most individuals here that live in the city, the majority, as we know, both sister cities, both from Cuerámaro and also from Venustiano Carranza, which we call San Pedro, they didn't know what it was. And I remember I was in charge of it back when we had our director, Henry Montenegro. And he made me translate in order what it was so that we could send it out to the public, so that way they could understand in Spanish and English what the powwow is. Unfortunately, obviously, that's been lost through the years. I'm not in charge of the powwow, but I learned a lot. And what I learned a lot is very spiritual. And just like everyone else, and you guys heard about talking about the bear dance, and what we consider in Spanish es una limpia. It's a cleanse. So you go out there and you get rid of all these bad spirits, all these bad thoughts, and you throw it onto these bears. And they throw it into the middle of the fire to get rid of it. Now, some people believe in that, some people don't. But those are the little things that are going to get lost. If we don't keep these traditions, if we don't honor our Native Americans, it gets lost. It gets lost. If you've never been to it, obviously it's easy for me to say, hey, just cut this, cut that. It ain't no different than a car show. If you guys have never been to it and you guys decide to cut it, you guys need to see it. You guys need to see how many people go to it. Going back to the powwow, like I said, when the Aztec dancers are there, if you ever seen the Aztec dancers, because we see them, and especially when they're celebrating the Virgen de Guadalupe, which is something that we honor, you need to see how. You need to see what they talk when they talk the language and how much they respect each other from different native, from the different tribes, and how they respect each other. And how thankful they are for allowing them to participate and being with them. And if we are, I was born in Michoacán. You got to know where you come from. Well, they're Tarasco. That's the Indian tribe that we're from. You might not have any pride, but at least learn that there is a lot of pride with the Native Americans. And we, I think as a city, owe that to Mr. Bob Canada because of what he brought to us. And for us to just let it go without even a fight, that's the only reason why I'm here. At least I can rest in my conscience that I did try to do that. Thanks.
Thank you. Do we have any other public comments before we discuss?
My name is Alba Bach, and I live on Juan Avenue here in Hawaiian Gardens. And I'm here because I'm worried that I heard earlier something about a $2 million deficit. And in the past, I don't remember hearing, such a thing. To the contrary, I've heard surplus, there being surplus. And even though they're eliminating programs and doing a lot of budget cuts, I really don't approve of the carnival and the parade being every 5 years, because I do see the families, outside expecting, waiting for the carnival and the parade. So I think that will be a great disservice to our residents. And also, I'm still concerned for that deficit. I know that there's been some salary increases for some city administrators, and people have been moved around, and now they're hiring people, paying them $50 an hour. I don't think that's good. We need to be fiscal responsible, and we're keeping an eye on everything that's going on. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any other public comment? Okay, seeing none, we can discuss. Yes.
Well, I'd like to get the hot item out of the way right now, the powwow. I was born here in the 50s, and in the late 60s, early 70s, as kids, we would play the city of Artesia and Norwalk, Buena Park, Stanton. We'd all have neighborhood football teams, and we'd play each other. We'd go to the different neighborhoods and play, and our front line was the Starr family that lived across the street from Clarkdale Park. They were Indians. We had a lot of Indians here in the 60s, and these big boys were our front lines, and we had a great time. But now that I attend the powwow and seeing the beauty and the power and that atmosphere of people doing things with their whole heart. It's like an energy where I wish I knew this energy when I played on the field with those Indian guys, man, because then I could really understand them. I wish I could see them again now that I kind of know the culture. I've been there 4 years in a row, and I'm amazed by it. And now that if you look up Hawaiian Gardens and scroll up and you see them here, I mean, geesh. And now we have the honor of having them on our field. It's a beautiful thing. And I would just wish, Myra, that you would reconsider that.
Well, this is a city council budget. It's not my budget. I appreciate all the credit that everyone gives me as if I have a lot of power, but I really don't. I'm one vote, equal vote to all of you.
Yes.
If I may interrupt. So, there has been some comments made that there's a deficit. And in fact, if you look at the amended budget, at the grand total expenditures, which was $19 million, what we're trying to do is keep it at $19 million, which was approved by prior council. So it's originally for 2018, 2019, there was a $18,800,019,175, and this year what we're proposing to do is keep it around that ballpark figure, which is almost 19 million. That's where that number comes from. In addition, if you look what's in the budget and what was actually spent was less than 18 million. So the city had basically a surplus of $1 million of what was originally budgeted for. So a few things come in mind. So one, we're trying to stay within that ballpark figure, which is 19 million, with the additional responsibilities that were basically inherited to us, which was the teen center and the public safety. Those are decisions that were made prior to us being in council. So what we're trying to do is adjust for future, for some of those decisions that were made before us. And so that's where the balancing of the budget comes in at approximately 19 million. So I don't know if that makes sense or if anybody has any questions, but I went ahead and looked, and everything pretty much has remained the same with the addition to a few items. And so I personally want clarification as to why. I know that for 2019-2020, city manager budget went up significantly, which was approximately $200,000. The human resources department went approximately, it was budgeted at $423,000, but we only spent $240,000. So that's about $200,000 difference there. Public safety, there was an increase in public safety of about $200K. Parks and fields, another 100. And in administration costs for recreation, there was approximately $130K. So I want some clarification as to why. I know some of them it's been the reorganization. Like, for example, we now have a staff assistant for human resources. So some of those make sense, but some of the other ones I think we need to elaborate. When we had the citywide budget meetings, we only went into recreation, which was recreation is about $5 million, and that's why we only focused on recreation. But I see other changes that I think should be addressed. So we'll start with that. If Ernie can elaborate as to why the difference in numbers. In addition, I know that there's been a lot of concern with regards to the park. The park is being paid out of the surplus from last year, but at the last meeting, Mayor Maravilla did agree that if we can come up with other options for creating alternatives, then we could explore that. Nothing is set in stone tonight. And so with that said, there was an understanding that Councilmember Trimble brought up that about the signs and the dogs, and we were under the impression that those are still alternatives that we're looking at. And so I know there's been a lot of attacks as to us not doing our jobs, but we have to wait until you guys are finished speaking so that we can present our point of views. So if you want to start with that, Ernie, it's page 12 and the differences. Maybe you can elaborate on why some of those changes.
Oh, I'm sorry. Page 12 of the agenda.
On the budget.
Okay. So the city manager, 4120. So the estimated actuals, so if you see the amended budget versus the proposed and budgets for the next 2 years, they're relatively similar. The differences in the actual estimated cost spent, and that's because we move people around. There's no new bodies. It's just, you mentioned it earlier, one of the full-time staff assistants was moved from administration to public safety. And actually, there's quite a bit of that. The only personnel changes you're going to find in this whole budget is in recreation, but everybody else is kind of moving around, so you're going to see some of these differences. But if you look at the budget itself, it went down from the 18-19 amended budget. So 838,004 to 780 and 796. So that includes part of Siobhan, or part of the executive assistant, the moving of the staff assistant. So if you look at on page 20 of the budget, you'll see there that the costs are relatively the same from 17-18 to 2021. We did move some people around.
And that's the part that I'm not clear on. If you move people around, then that becomes an increase in the other side of the budget.
Right.
So,
so if you go to the HR budget, that should have had a relative increase based on that. So you see the budget was 423. I'm sorry, it wasn't. That was the public safety budget.
yeah, so that's the one that has 200, no, almost 400K. And that's the one that I was referring to.
In city manager's office?
No, in public safety.
Public safety. You're comparing the actuals? Is that
Yes,
what?
yes.
Okay, I
yes.
see.
So it's actually a decrease. So we decreased the budget, right?
Right.
But my question is, if the actuals came in at, almost 400,000 less, why are we still budgeting so high?
So part of that was our overtime costs. I know if you look at the estimated actuals in the public safety budget, you'll see where those increases were. Most of those going to be operational savings, not staffing. The staffing, other than recreation, there's no additional bodies in the city. We added recreation and contract services for a volunteer coordinator as far as personnel are concerned. If you look at the actuals under the public safety department, if you compare estimated actuals to the budget, that'll give you a better idea of the increases. And if you see the part-timers were created throughout the 2-year last budget for the non-SMORD public safety program. So that's a big increase that wasn't part of the original approved budget. That was been added since through basically essentially 3 different budget revisions.
So what did we do last year that, for example, what did we do last year that allowed us to save? Because the amended budget was 4,900,000, but we came in at 4 million. Almost 400,000. So what did we do last year that allowed us to save those 400,000? Because if that's the case, I think that we could reallocate some of those funds to some of the services that we're cutting. So my thing is it essential for us to propose 4,768,000, or would we be able to be at 4,700,000 and use some of the additional 70,000 for something else?
I lost what line item, what budget item were you talking about?
Yeah, so we're at the 4210 public safety,
Mhm.
which I'm assuming is personnel cost for the public safety center.
What page are you looking at?
Page 12.
Page 39 of the budget. So, okay, so the salaries and personnel costs up there, you'll see I see what you're saying. We've had vacancies in the public safety officer positions.
Right,
That's,
so that's what I'm saying. So
most of the savings you're going to see here, if they're not operational savings, are going to become vacancies. So as you may or may not know, as we led up to the budget process, I froze most vacancies. As people were leaving, I didn't allow them to get filled until we figured out where we were in the budget. And so that is how we save money as a public organization, because our money is either people or operations. And so some of those are related to salary savings. Some of those are related to just not filling vacancies altogether, as far as personnel is concerned. On the operational stuff, for example, public safety or sworn personnel overtime budget, we sometimes don't use very little, sometimes we use a lot, but we budget for the full amount that we may need, so I don't have to come back to you to get some additional monies. And that's where you see some savings, and you also see savings on contract services, because again, a lot of the consultants and management people we bring in to assist on particular areas are as needed, or they come in and they come out, and those budgets are there for as things come up throughout the year. That we don't reduce the budget. Now, if you, the city council, want to eliminate those budgets, we would simply come back as staff whenever we needed that kind of assistance. So it's your discretion 100%. It's a matter of, do you want to do salary, or do you want to do savings at the end of the year, or do you want to be as lean as possible and add things as they come up throughout the year, which, I mean, essentially every 2 weeks the city council amends its budget with different resolutions depending on what you're considering. The estimated actuals, that is essentially the what's provided by every department, where they think they're going to finish in 2 weeks. This was obviously started in April and updated as we could, but these are estimated where we think we're going to finish. Some of these things have changed already. You'll get an audited amount through outside third-party independent people that come in and audit all these numbers.
yeah, so with that said, Ernie, I think that, I mean, the city did a wonderful job as far as being able to save $1 million from the amended budget, which was at almost 19 million, and you guys came in at 17,200. I mean, approximately. Right. So it's almost $2 million in savings that we did, which is what some of those one-time expenditures are going to be used. But with that said, I think that, I mean, obviously there's a lot of people that feel passionate about the powwow, and I've been to the event, and we're trying our best, and we do have to make cuts. And one of the things that we suggested was obviously having the parade every 5 years, and we're not completely eliminating the parade because we're allocating funds to have it every 5 years, which is $20,000. But the parade is a 120. It's a 120K operation, and there was a discussion that we're eliminating the carnival. The carnival is still in operation, so that's not the case. I just think that it's such a small amount that, I mean, we can find the money to allocate $10,000 for that. With that said, also I saw that that there are a few positions that are being created. Like, for example, 2 staff assistants for public safety, which is good that we have the opportunity to create more jobs, and we're trying to provide the best public safety that we can for the community. But there are some concerns as far as creating jobs. I have noticed that we have people from Apple, which is the temporary agency, but we have people in recreation and crossing guards that, you know, those are maybe potential opportunities for them. So I think that we should start looking internally and maybe applying some of that budget towards, you know, providing them with jobs. And then in addition to that, I looked at the salary schedules, which is also part of this. And, you know, when I got hired for recreation, I mean, 14 years ago, this city was an amazing place to work because it beat, you know, nothing against anybody who works at fast food, but it beat working in fast food for a young individual who was going to school or who wanted to put themselves through school. And I noticed that the salary schedules for our recreation and even some of our crossing guards, they're below minimum wage, which I don't think that's okay. So I personally would like to make an adjustment to move the crossing guards up to the rec leader level and move the rec leaders up to the level of, I think it's presenter, which it's slightly higher than
So let
minimum wage.
me speak to that, because those are MOU related issues that we have to meet and confer about. On the minimum wage, when the law changes in January, any position that's out of compliance with the law will be adjusted to meet the law. So that's going to happen as part of this process. What you're suggesting is changing the salary schedule to give increases to that range, which we can certainly do if that's the will of the council. It's just a meeting confer issue, not part of this process. You can direct us to have that conversation, though.
Which I think we should, because, I mean, we do have to account for that money that we're going to, increase the salaries. But, yeah, there's a couple of them that would be underfunded.
Yeah, but again, on January 1, anybody not complying with the law will be provided with the proper adjustment so that we are compliant with the law. So everybody will get an increase if they're under that threshold. Okay.
Yes. Are you through? Okay.
Yes, I think that's it.
Yeah, I do have a comment. I'm actually part of a committee. It's called the JPA, Joint Power Authority. It's a committee that combines 7 cities that have casinos, and this committee protects the best interests of the cities. So right now we have 2 big lawsuits from the tribes against our casinos, and as you know, our budget, 68% of our budget comes from our casino, which is $13.5 million. And we've been, for the last, and Hank was in this committee before, he can attest to this, but, we have a lot of uncertainty of what's going to happen with this lawsuit. They're very strong lawsuits against these casinos. So 7 cities. And we been planning and strategizing how we can protect our casinos because we depend on them. So we just met yesterday with the Attorney General here in LA. It was 9 of us. And the conversation didn't go really well. He was polite. He greeted us. But the conversation, he didn't say much. But then at the same time, he said a lot. He said, I'm here to enforce the law. I don't make the law. And I just have to follow the law. And through the conversation, he said he's going to rewrite new regulations. That's going to happen by the end of this year. And he said, through the conversation, he said, we'll let the chips fall where they may. So he didn't say a lot, but he told us a lot. The thing is, he's going to do what he's going to do, and that's all he's going to do. We got the sense of he's not protecting us. It's going to happen. So even if we lose 50% of revenue because they're going to change the way the card games are going to be played, the rotation, all that is very uncertain. But this year, by the end, probably by December, it's going to something's going to happen, and that's going to go to Supreme Court. And then I'm sure there's going to be more fights against that. But in the process, nobody knows. Our committee is still uncertain now what's going to happen then. They can put a hold on the way the cards are being played already and hold us, keep us from the casinos from playing. If that happens, we're going to lose revenue. So, we're speculating now, but we got from this meeting that we were very lucky to have 30 minutes conversation. It's telling us a lot. The reason why I'm making these budget cuts is not because we want to. It's necessary that we adjust. We're dealing with the teen center that was approved past council. Guess what? Now we're stuck another $300,000 on top of everything. And we got to deal with that. Somehow we look like the bad guys. That was approved by the past council. See? So the thing is, we need to save money. In case something happens, we can continue providing for our residents. Because if we don't save enough money, and this should have been happening from the past council for many years, starting saving money. The money we're getting is going out the door. Think about you. working and living paycheck to paycheck. What does it look like? How does it feel? Think about, you only have savings for about a year and a half. If you were to get hurt, they can't work. You only have savings for about a year and a half. What are you going to do next? How about a casino? Let's say we'll lose 50%. That's already $6,750,000 we're losing revenue at a 50% reduction. What does that look like now? See? We can't go and get another casino. We're done. So we must save money right now. And we're starting to adjust, but I know there's a lot of adjustments that we need to make, but we need to start now. I know we've been pinpoint of different things. You guys this. See, it's not the same being out there and just criticize and complain when you're here. How many of you would like to be here and be called puppet, witch, a bunch of other stuff, get flipped off? See? So if you don't save any money, I'm just going to tell you, because I was in the meeting with the Attorney General. It wasn't good. There are going to be layoffs. Just in the Parks and Recs, we spent $5 million. That's it, $5 million. I believe our sheriff is just about another 4. That's it. What about the rest? See? So we must save money. If not, there's going to be layoffs. Do you want to provide service for residents temporary or long term? Do you want to have a job temporary or long term? What do you want? We have these meetings about the budget. Nobody wants to cut anything. Nobody. Someone's here about, you cut a little bit of the seniors. Guess what? Next we're going to have some seniors here. No, don't cut nothing from us. Don't cut the powwow. Don't cut the car show. Don't cut the parade. Don't cut anything. It's like, I refer this to my kid. They just want things. I go, hey, I don't have the money for that. Well, yeah, just go to the bank and get it. But he doesn't know that in order to pull money from the bank, you must put money in. So we got to be responsible. And yes, we need to make some adjustments. But I'm going to tell you what, this adjustment should have happened years ago. Somebody didn't bother to just pay attention to that. Here, we're being judged right here. We're the bad guys. See, I saw it. I was there. But if you're not open to help us make some adjustments and just want one, but guess what? We do the best we can. We need to approve everything, leave it the way it is. We can leave it. Just know that if that happens, you're going to think about the good old times. When we have all these benefits, all these good things, and now, we become part of LA County because we can't sustain ourselves. What does that look like now? And I'm sure some of you remember what happened back in '95. Where were we at? So, Hank agrees because he's always comments about this, that he also strongly believes, instead of, several times, that it's coming. And I tell you, it is coming. We have some lobbyists that are very experts at this. And they tell us it's going to happen. And even the Attorney General said, I'll let you guys know to prepare. We'll probably have another meeting. But he's going to do what he's going to do. And just want to share that because we can want all kinds of things. Nobody wants to cut anything. But it's going to tell you, we're trying to do the best we can. We need the community to help us, be on board with us, so we continue providing the service you need. And this is temporary. This is not permanent. But we don't have any other options. But we're going to do the best we can with what we got. People don't want to understand, they want to see it, they want to see it coming. Okay, we'll just wait and see. I'll tell you because I was there. And everybody's concerned. Commerce, they get $16 million. You think they want to lose that? No. The city has given us the opportunity to give our community a lifestyle that they deserve. We're blessed to have a casino that gives us that kind of money. But if we lose 50% of that, we can't get another casino. How are we going to do it? I've seen people at home that get hurt. They lose their job. They can't work anymore. I see the struggles. That's us, if we're not careful. So that was my thought.
I had something to say, because I was on that last council that brought in this teen center. And believe me, we asked for one drawing, we got 3 drawings. And then when that council left, this council made it into like a university. We got a $300,000 building now instead of the proposed $100,000. So yeah, the last council brought it in, but it was going to be a simple teen center. Now it's like it's going to have leather couches, and the kids are going to be with computers, top of the line computers. It's going to be an educational center like we have at the library and we had at Leeware. Now it's a whole different animal. But here's what I see the people doing. They're like going like this, like something's not right. And see, it's a budget meeting, budget cuts. And we're cutting this one thing, but creating positions here, giving salary increases here. Like the Shark swim team, the budget's $200,000 now.
No, that's not the case.
Okay, what's on page?
I think it was $20,000.
$20,000?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because it's
What's on page 72?
Let's see.
But I'm just saying, we're sending mixed signals. We're saying we got no money, we got to cut, but yet we're doing elaborate things. Everything the city does is elaborate. We're always over the top with stuff, including the teen center. It's different from what it was.
But the teen center, in terms of, we haven't decided on programming, but in terms of the structure and what we wanted the inside to look like, that was the previous CIP committee and the previous city council. You and I were a part of that discussion. So to say that
it was a $100,000 budget for it.
That's not true.
And yes, and
No.
now it's over $300,000.
No, that was
so it
always
was
the
different.
case. Nope, that was always the
well,
case.
okay. Then let's get back to this shark thing on 72. The grand total Leeware pool.
Page 72 of the budget. For 1920, you're looking at 189,320 from the amended budget of 151,980.
And I'm just saying we're sending mixed signals. We're cutting, like they said, we're cutting what we think we don't need, but you know, like $10,000 is not going to break us. We could make that money back.
I am totally okay with keeping the powwow. I see the value in having cultural event at our city, and I have no opposition whatsoever with that. And somebody did bring up a good point. They said, we have a car show, and is that more important than the powwow? And I don't think it is. You know, powwows locally, regionally, I don't see that many. You have to travel pretty far to get to a powwow. A car show, you have some in Pasadena, you have some in LA, you have some everywhere. And if you look at page 70, well, it wasn't page 72, it was page... If you look at page 75, it lists the operational costs of all of our special events. The number one cost is the carnival. I didn't rank the parade because that'll be every 5 years. The number 2 is our scholarship monies. Number 3 is our Christmas tree lighting ceremony. Number 4 is a 4th of July. Number 5 is a car show, and then the powwow. So in terms of finances, in terms of cultural substance, I would be comfortable with cutting the car show and not the powwow. But I do want to be clear that depending on what happens in December and what happens in the near future, we could potentially lose up to 50% of our revenue. And, you know, I know a lot of people talk about the trainings that we attend and the information that we're gathering, but just, you know, attending every conference that we go to, we're always searching for grant monies. We're looking for opportunities to maximize what we currently have in our city. And the aquatic center that was brought up, that would be covered by Prop 68. Those meetings are not to make or propose something to the community in terms of us funding it. Those meetings have to take place in order for us to even apply for grant monies. So those were strategic meetings that must happen in order for us to submit a grant for Prop 68, for an aquatic center, or for capping the ditch and having an urban trail. So I just want to be cognizant that we can find monies now, but I want to act as if the cuts are here and imminent and coming this December, because I want to prepare ourselves for what's to come in the next 2 years. This is a 2-year budget. And I agree with Hank in terms of, some of the position increases, or, we do need to be very, very, very careful, because what the decisions that we make now will have a dramatic impact on the programs that we're able to offer tomorrow. Not only that, but I wasn't here when the layoffs took place. And I wouldn't want that to happen because of us making poor choices when it comes to budgeting. I see the value in powwow. I'm happy to keep the powwow. I'm also happy to cut the car show and any other special event that we see fit. I see the value in having an annual swim team. I see the value in having our youth sports. I know in the past we talked about ATGM being a separate thing from recreation. I don't think so. I think all of our recreation department is ATGM, because every single sport that we offer to our children and to our adults, and those are all anti-gang. Every time that our kid is enrolled in a swim class, every time that our kid is enrolled in rugby or in mini soccer, those are kids that are not on the streets involved with gang violence or illegal activity. So I want this to really be a policy decision, and that's just how I weigh things. But
Well, sorry to interrupt, but it could be a policy decision. I mean, for the carnival, we spent $86,500, but we allocated an additional, give or take,
38,000,
50,000.
and we can cut that.
So, I mean, really, what we're asking for is we gave an additional 50,000 to the carnival. We can give them 20. You can give 10 to the powwow and still save 20. I mean, 100,000 for a carnival, I think it's a fairly good amount, and you can still even save money, an additional 20,000. I mean, there's no need to give them 40 additional.
And I agree with that, and I would like to see that amended to 100.
So you can certainly make any recommendations. So the reason the carnivals went up, the recommendation was to increase the entertainment budget and to increase the public safety budget, because we wanted more police presence. And, from a staff perspective, I don't want... This is about what you just said right now. This is about what you value as a city council. This is not atypical. It's atypical for the city of Hawaiian Gardens, but this is normal budgeting in every city. Normally, every year you have to, try to live within your means, and you decide which programs are higher priority than others, or which things you want to add because you value them. So I think for today, if you just talk about those things that you want to be considered coming in and out, we'll make the proper adjustments as staff. But you have $5 million for quality of life recreation programs. You're not broke. You have a very robust program that 90% of the cities don't have out there. And so I don't want the public or any of you to think that you're not doing a wonderful thing for this community, because I can tell you right now, there's not one community out there that provides a level of services and recreation community services that we provide. We have free swimming lessons. We have free almost everything. And, what you want to talk about today is those things that you value. You value the powwow, we'll add it back in, and we'll make the proper adjustments. You value security and entertainment at the carnival, that's going to be in. But you're not broke. The situation that Vice Mayor is talking about is super serious and significant, but you're not going to do that tonight, because that is talking about a change in how we do business in the city and the kind of services we provide to the residents. And we don't have the information to make that decision tonight. But what you have tonight is a very robust program that takes care of the residents of this city. And I challenge anybody to look at, and I'll sit down and compare budgets with other cities. This is my 6th city. I've been in cities large and small, and so I know what you're doing, and you're making a policy decision by the decisions you're making tonight about what is and what isn't important for this community. And so what I suggest is those situations that you're talking about, just continue having a dialogue about what is important, but you don't have to justify the decisions you're making as far as living within your means. That's what you do as a budget.
Yes, and I agree with that, Ernie. And so with that said, I mean, the budget is balanced. We're staying within our means. We are providing additional services with the same amount of money that was, used by prior city council. and we're providing additional services. So I think that it's well balanced. I mean, really, what we're talking about here is $10,000 over a $19 million budget. So $10,000 is nothing. I think that we can add it and we can continue do business as usual. So
and I'm okay with reducing the carnival budget to 100 so that we can fund both the car show and the powwow. I'm fine with that. But just we didn't keep everything, just so everyone is aware. We did cut the 3K fun run. We cut parade. Yep, so that'll be every 5 years.
I have something to say. We also eliminated the Activate Hawaiian Gardens, and before during the budget sessions, I wasn't too familiar with that program, but I did get to know about it. And I met with Dr. Alexander, and I was beyond proud of what an amazing program that is. I learned that former council member Mike Gomez had an idea, and he brought this idea forward along with Dr. Alexander and others. And I just want to say thank you, because that program is changing our students' lives. They're fighting obesity. They're learning how to fight obesity and learning what is it's making them aware of what they are eating and their parents. So this program is saving lives. I know we're trying to cut programs, but I just parents that participated in this program, it's an 11-week program, and it helped decrease 33% of the children's BMI levels.
The previous budget was $35,000.
And so the parents that didn't participate in this program, the children's BMI levels 32% increase. So they gained weight, they were unhealthier. So I just feel like if we cut this program off completely, I feel like that the students are, they're not going to be too aware. Their BMI levels are going to continue going up. Maybe, so I just also want to say that this program was recognized by big people. Michelle Obama, she sent a letter to the city of Hawaiian to Mike Gomez, city of Hawaiian Gardens. Cerritos Local News, Telemundo, ABC, CBS, NBC, Fox News. We all got positive. They understood the positive impact, and they shared this on the news. So this program is the only program in Hawaiian Gardens that is trying to help the lives of our children in a positive way and teaching them. So once again, I just feel like I want to say thank you to Mike Gomez, because he had this idea and he brought it forward and he made it possible. And then now we're cutting it. I know this is budget cuts, and we want to cut programs and stuff, but I don't know.
I'll make a comment on that. See, every program is awesome. Every program is great. We can have a line of people, but every program, and sell us on why they should keep it. See, they're all great. We're not saying they're not great. I met with Alexander. Yeah, it's a great program. I believe in that. It's about health. But every program is a good program. It's a great program. They're all good. We're not discounting them because they're bad. They're all great. But the thing is, we still need to cut. And again, I'm trying to do the best I can here, but hey, I'll do what only I can. And that's why we're here. This budget deal is from past council years in the past. So now we're dealing with all this $5 million in recreation and all this other stuff that you already know, because it just keep adding up. This great plan, great program. Now we're right here, and now it's like we're up to here. It's like someone at home with uses the credit cards. Oh, it's on discount. Let me buy this. Oh, 50% off. Before you know, the credit card's at $20,000. Now it's like drowning. Now it's like I can't even afford to pay back now. Now let's do bankruptcy. But it's the same thing.
Well, I'm all about, not cutting every single program. So, like I mentioned before, the carnival was $124,000. We brought that down to $100,000. So that's $24,000 less. $10,000 will go to the powwow. In addition, we saw that the teen center has a budget for excursions, special supplies, equipment. Excursions, I mean, they're a luxury. When you're doing cuts, $10,000 in field trips and amusement parks, we could take $5,000 from there. I mean, $10,000, $10,000 and $10,000, $15,000 left from the parade or from the carnival, $10,000 from the teen center. That's $25,000 that can go towards Activate Hawaiian Gardens. We're still making cuts, and we're still providing the same level of services. But again, we need to make adjustments. So if we're making like Hank said, or Councilmember Trimble said, we're making adjustments in one area, but we're rewarding others where excursions, $10,000 in excursions. I mean, we're sending mixed signals. So
well, I do want to say something about excursions. For Leeware Park, which is the Helen Rosa Center, and we all know, I don't know if you guys have been there this summer, but there are a ton of kids every summer. We spend $1,000 for excursions. For Clarkdale Park, which also a ton of kids go there, play basketball, skate. We have the splash pad. If you guys have driven by, ton of kids, $1,000 for excursions. Our teen center, which we're hoping will have a robust program, $10,000. Rugby, they do excursions as well. Well, it was in the budget at least, $1,000. Our senior center, $36,000. Again, I'm not demonizing any group, and I think something that I've been talking a lot about, and I talk about every single meeting almost, is bringing equity to our programs. I'm not ever going to say one program is better than another or that one program makes a bigger impact than another. But we are talking about equity. Our motto is our youth, our future. Yet, we're putting money in. I mean, I have nothing against a car show, but I'm just, as an example, we're putting over $25,000 or however much money it was, $15,000 into a car show that's one day, and not everyone in the city goes because they charge a fee at the door. Yet we're spending $1,000 for the entire year for places like Leeware, Helen Rosa Center, that has a ton of kids participate. So again, I'm not demonizing any program or any special event, but I like to put things in perspective, right? It's like when I have my own money, my own personal money. It's like, do I spend $100 on a pair of shoes, or am I going to spend $100 on groceries, right? Or things that are going to make more of an impact or last longer. Again, I'm up to whatever my council colleagues decide. We're a majority, and I think we're doing an excellent job working together. And I do want to thank you guys for keeping the process pleasant, at least in our special study sessions, which have never been recorded ever in the city of Hawaiian Gardens. They've always been conducted at our Public Safety Center. So thank you all, and thank you to our staff also, because you guys have been very patient with us going back and forth on different line items. But really, for me personally, that's sort of my lens when I look at the budget. It's like, are we bringing equity to all programs? Are we charging children $15 an excursion and talking about eliminating it, which for them it could be life-changing to go to a college campus, or talking about charging our children more fees in order to do swim, which is a life-saving mechanism to a lot of our kids. Yet we charge $0 for anyone using our transportation service, when a lot of cities that do provide something similar charge $2 or at least $1. The cow charges 50 cents. We spend $700,000 on our transportation department. And again, I'm not demonizing anything, because everything has a lot of value to a lot of our residents, but not everyone uses transportation. Not everyone that's a senior uses our senior excursions. Not everyone that is a child uses our excursions provided through the city. So I just want us to keep that in mind and keep our motto in mind, and look at our budget and see, does this reflect our motto and our values as a city?
Madam Mayor, member of City Council, so let me just read off the changes, and I think as Councilmember Roa pointed out, with your discretion, I'll say what's in and some of the changes that you've been identified. Anything else, because these are not big dollar items, but I don't want to lose track of what the Vice Mayor said about, you got to a $1.8 million hole by making a bunch of little cuts. Okay, so That said, what you've talked about today, when you add it up, it's very manageable and it's still a balanced budget. And so let me just tell you what I have, and then you could validate or change or add or subtract, okay? So I had adding the powwow event back in, and I think the budget for that was around $13,000, and so we'll put that amount of money in there. The reduction in the carnival to 100, re-adding Activate Juan Gardens, leaving the car show in the budget, cutting the excursion to Teen Center to 5K, and the only one that I'd like, well, let me just go through those, and I want to address the recreation leader comment made by Councilmember Roa. But is that consensus of the City Council, or any additional direction to staff? You're good? Okay. And then Councilmember Roa, the issue with the rec leaders, and again, it's really an MOU union issue, although I don't think that they would fight an increase in pay much. There is an issue of, as you know, you have experience, there's like 3 different recreation leader classifications. They're all used in kind of conflicting manners sometimes. So what I like is just let me have the opportunity to at least meet and confer on the issue with the union on this, and talk about the minimum wage and looking at the recreation kind of organization of rec leaders. They don't have to entertain the city's motion. In other words, they can say, no, we have a contract, come back to us in a year. But if you wish, I can pursue that and come back with something that makes sense both financially and organizationally. So those other items plus the rec leaders is what I have as far as staff changes to the budget. And if that's what the city council proposes, it'll be the staff recommendation as amended for the 3 resolutions.
And I think you covered it all, Ernie. The only item that we basically have pending is the dog park. And I would basically like to pull that just to because my experience is that you start off a project with 200,000, but once you start going with prevailing wages and everything else, that 200,000 becomes 400,000. We have the Veteran Memorial that was very expensive. We have Clarkdale Park that was very expensive. I actually had the opportunity to work on the reimbursement for the Clarkdale Park when it originally opened up, and that was over close to a $500,000 project. So I know that any time that capital improvement projects are in place, it has a tendency to spike up. So if my colleagues agree, I think we have a balanced budget, and I'd like to make a motion to approve it with the adjustments.
I'll second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank
So
you.
just point of clarification. So you're approving resolution number 064-2019 to amend the budget. That's the money's going to the project management fund minus the dog park, which will go to the unassigned fund balance, which is essentially your savings account. 065-2019, adopting the 2019-2021 citywide budget, and resolution number 066-2019, approving the 1920 salary schedule. As amended.
Yeah. And before we do a roll call vote, I do want to thank everyone that did attend and speak on this item. I know we're all very passionate about what we do in the city, and I want to thank you for taking the time to be here and taking the time to give us your input. We value what you have to say, and we just want to say thank you. Go ahead, Madam Clerk.
So, Madam Mayor, just so that we are clear on the current motion, is to adopt the first resolution, number 064-2019, with Council Member Roa making the motion and Mayor Maravilla making the second. And by roll call vote, Council Member Trimble, what is your vote?
Yeah, I agree with it. Yes.
Thank you. Council Member Roa?
Yes.
Councilmember Rodriguez?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Alvarado?
Yes.
Mayor Maravilla?
Yes.
Motion passes. Now continuing on with the next resolution, and it is number 065-2019, with the same maker being Councilmember Roa and Madam Mayor being the second. With that, roll call vote, Councilmember Trimble?
Yes.
Councilmember Roa?
Yes.
Councilmember Rodriguez,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Alvarado,
Yes.
and Mayor Maravilla.
Yes.
That motion carries as well. And the final resolution being number 066-2019, also the maker of the motion being Councilmember Roa, and the second, Mayor Maravilla. Councilmember Trimble.
Yes.
Councilmember Roa.
Yes.
Councilmember Rodriguez.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Alvarado.
Yes.
Mayor Maravilla.
Yes.
The motion carries.
Thank you. So at this time, we are moving forward with item D, which is committee reports. Do we have any committee reports?
Fourth of July is coming up, so that means our Independence celebration is also coming up. Here are some details. Please join us on Wednesday, July 3rd at Fedi Middle School from 5 to 10 p.m. We will have music, games, entertainment, and also don't forget your dollar bill because In-N-Out truck is back. But also remember, it is one hamburger per person, and it is at a first come, first served basis. Thank you.
Do we have any other committee reports?
Yes. So I'd like to add, this past weekend, I actually did attend a conference like our past council member mentioned, and it was through Gateway Cities. And the reason why we attended that conference is there is money out there. There's a lot of proposition as far as infrastructure. And so it is an update, and those committees are essential for us to stay informed as to what is going on. Also, some of the seminars that take place talk about small cities like ours, which are already built out to max, but they bring in architects and engineers to show you that even though we are a dense community and we're built out to the max, there's potential. We're looking for potential ways to bring in additional revenue, whether it be in the form of businesses or we're out there trying to see what we can do to bring additional revenue sources to the community. Based on what you saw on the map, on the the graph, we depend highly on the casino, and that's the reason why we're out there. We're looking to see what we can do to provide additional services to the community.
This past weekend, I attended an NALEO conference, and we went to a lot of different sessions, my colleague Jesse and I. It was very informative. NALEO is the National Association of Latino Elected Officials. It is the largest organization bringing together elected officials from Mayor Garcetti to Mayor Garcia to presidential candidates. DAs from across the country are there, public defenders, judges, senators, congresspeople. It's a very robust conference, and a lot of topics were discussed, one of which was criminal justice reform. That was a very interesting topic because they talked about homelessness and addiction and mental illness, and I really enjoyed hearing the conversation between a judge in Florida, a DA in Texas, which is very conservative, public defender from Miami-Dade County, and then a representative from Verizon, which was the convener of that session. A lot of what they talked about was how a lot of different criminal justice systems have implemented something called a drug court. Truthfully, I don't know too much about our criminal justice system, so I think to be a better elected official and advocate for what our community needs, I do need to find out, do we have a drug court? I've met with a lot of different people. I've met with our sheriff. I've never met with our DA. And they were talking about the importance of leveraging our community issues with our DA, who happens to be Jackie Lacey. So I think that's something that maybe I can help set up for our council colleagues, talk about our gang injunction, some of our residents who are, still struggling to get off of the gang injunction. So those types of issues that do have consequences in our community. Also, we talked a lot about, let's see. So they had another session against just in general about mental health, how to deal with that in terms of overdosing. how some communities have equipped a lot of their officials with Narcan, which is something that they can inject into someone that's going through an opioid overdose. Again, I don't know too much about these topics, but I think it's important for us to learn more. And now that we've been exposed to this information, I would definitely like to follow up and see how this is implemented in LA County, because I do know that our sheriffs do a lot to protect us, but the homeless crisis is only increasing. As we heard with the last numbers, LA County wide, it increased about, I think, 18%, which is very significant, even though millions and millions of dollars have been invested in LA, the city of LA, and other cities to create housing. The numbers are not decreasing. And as you guys know, Measure H funds, the taxpayers, are paying to support programs and systems for our homeless population, which is only increasing. So this is something that we have to take a serious look at, see how our local LA County sheriffs are responding to people with mental illness, and see how we can better support them to implement what other cities and counties nationwide have done and have, had great success with. They talked about community health centers, and they talked about integrating with existing meetings. So attending meetings that are already taking place to tag along and bring information for our community in relation to health, in relation to drugs, in relation to the criminal justice system. And let's see. I have other notes that I'll be sharing with my colleagues. This is one of the better conferences, I would say, as an elected official. I've been to several. And this one is by far very critical. We talked a lot about the census, and I know that we created a complete count committee, which is Mayor Rodriguez and Mayor Trimble. There are a lot of processes that have to take place in order for us to do a complete count, because next year in March, they were talking about strategies that other cities are doing. And the most important part here is that this year it's going to be a digital census. So everyone is going to get a QR code in the mail. You're going to have to scan it with your phone and answer all of the questions. Another hurdle that our community may face is that they may or may not ask the citizenship question. If the citizen question is asked, we're trying to figure out through networks with the Census Bureau, which was also present at this very important conference, whether or not we can advocate and tell our residents, if this question is on the census, don't fill it out. Or if you don't want to, don't fill it out, because I know a lot of people won't feel comfortable filling it out. We talked to some enumerators, which are the people that go door to door knocking, and the trend has been in the past, which was 10 years ago, that they only go back to the households that do not answer at all. So if you skipped a question, they won't necessarily go back and knock on your door, but they will knock back on your door if you didn't complete it at all. So that's something that we're still trying to figure out, whether that question is going to be asked, how our community is going to handle it, and hopefully the committee can convene and I can share information. But also for the community, they share something really important. If you guys have something to write with or have your cell phones, if you text NALEO member to 97779, one word, NALEO, NALEO member, MEMBER, one word, and text it to 97779. They're already providing toolkits. So if you're an organization, you have a nonprofit, or you're already going to PTAs or external groups here in the city, please download that toolkit. We can help make it our own. That's something that we can use so that we don't have to recreate all of the branding and the marketing for the census. So yeah, they provided a lot of very great information. And truthfully, one of the topics that was brought up during, I know I'm taking a lot of time, but it was really interesting. It was really interesting and very informative. I'm telling you, one of the best conferences I've attended. Another topic that they talked about is community backlash against elected officials attending these important conferences. I mean, we were sitting with DAs, we were sitting with county officials from Miami-Dade. We were sitting with county officials from Wisconsin, from Idaho, and all of them operate slightly different. They all have different ideas. And I know I'll speak for me and Jesse when I say this. It was a 5.5-hour flight. We didn't even take a nap. Not even once. We had so much to discuss, so many ideas to share, so many strategies about how we can implement what we learned. And so I do encourage my colleagues next year, if you're interested, I know I have to use my vacation time to go to these conferences, and it's a sacrifice for my career in order to attend these, but this one is worth the time and the effort to attend. So I would just put out that suggestion, and thank you to my colleague for keeping me company for 12-hour shifts throughout the conference every day. And it was Wednesday of last week, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, but it was very, very well worth it. We exchanged a lot of business cards with a lot of people that share similar demographics to our community, and the census is going to be a big deal. That'll determine funding from the federal government for the next 10 years. And if things really are going to go south with the casino, we need to make sure that every single person is counted, every child, every senior, every single person. So hopefully everyone in this room can be an advocate for the census and for helping your neighbors, your family members respond to every question. The results will not be shared in terms of the citizenship question. That's actually protected by law. So if somebody puts that they are not a U.S. citizen, that information will not be turned over to anybody or any other agency. It has to stay legally within the Census Bureau. So I do ask that everybody relay that information, and hopefully we can get the committee to convene. So I'll share more later. Thank you. All right, so any oral reports?
Yes, Madam Mayor, members of council. Happy to report this coming weekend, our swim team, the Sharks, will be competing in their first swim meet. It'll take place on Sunday, the 30th, in the city of Bellflower. So we'll include this information in your weekly memo. Councilmember Rodriguez mentioned Independence Day celebration on Wednesday, the 3rd of July. Typically, the event is on a Saturday, but this year we moved it to Wednesday, so that way everybody can get off of work and enjoy the fireworks and then get to sleep in on July 4th. And finally, on Sunday, July 7th, is the car show. It will take place at Fedi from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m.
Okay, go ahead.
Yes, Honorable Mayor and members of the City Council, just real quick here, I'm going to provide an update on the Teen Center as it pertains to the building identification sign. This is something that was one of the last things pending for the construction component, as we are doing this separately. So when we met with the City Council back on May 14, direction was given to look at 3 different signs, basically to create a look that's going to look like the bottom left-hand corner, which is the Buckhead Church, with the font of Kenmore Library and the look of more of the top rendition there. And this is just for informational purposes, so we cannot really engage in any discussion. This is just so I give you an update on what we're doing with the sign. This is basically what the graphic artist came up with as far as the sign itself. It's a 3-part construction. It basically has a back plate, which is about 0.08 in thickness. It's basically an aluminum back plate. On top of that, there is a 3-inch deep reverse halo LED illuminated aluminum cabinet on top of that, so it can give that halo effect around it. And then they will be 1/2-inch push-through clear acrylic letters. So the next slide, this is more or less what the sign will look like. It'll go on the front side of the building itself. The bottom doesn't really do justice, but that's supposed to be the night vision or the night view. But again, the sign is supposed to look like the left-hand side. So with that, we will proceed with the construction of the sign with the sign manufacturer. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much. So now we'll go into closed session. Before convening into closed session, do we have any public comment on closed session? Seeing none, Madam City Attorney.
Madam Mayor, if I may, just for the public, we will be having a meeting on July 2nd per your request, and that will be posted soon.
If I may, before we go into closed session, I just want to bring up what I apologize for what happened at the last council meeting between myself and Councilmember Trimble. It was a complete misunderstanding, and I just want to make it clear that I do not use my power as a city council member to kick anybody off the field. That was a complete misunderstanding, and I wasn't even present when the so-called incident happened, so I just want to make that clear.
I was supposed to bring this up because I owe him an apology. The person that told me about the incident researched it, and there was a paper trail. He had nothing to do with it. It was his team being controlled by someone else, and staff did let his team on the field, but this man was innocent of it. So my apology to you, sir. Yes.
I just want to say thank you to my colleagues for making it so pleasant to sit here and conduct a meeting. I appreciate you guys. Okay, that's all. Madam City Attorney.
And on that note, the City Council will now convene in closed session pursuant to item H1 as listed on the agenda under Government Code Section 54956.9D2.
So at this time, we're reconvening from closed session at 9:57. Madam City Attorney.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The City Council met in closed session pursuant to the item listed on H1 in the agenda. No reportable action was taken.
So we will now adjourn to a regular City Council meeting to be held on Tuesday, July 9th at 6 p.m.